iGroup is a one-stop shop for information products and library technologies. We establish as the key information industry partner with our customers. Building your library e-resources can be a huge undertaking. iGroup is here to serve all of your information needs, including technology, consulting, and K-12. We were awarded with Caring Company logo by Hong Kong Council of Social Service. In this era of open access, iGroup is here to support your changing need of skills, technology, and contents. Contact us at www.igroupnet.com. We were awarded with Caring Company.
Selamat datang di Rumah Ilmu Pengembang Peradaban Unggul. Perpustakaan Universitas Negeri Semarang dulu dibangun dengan sangat sederhana, kemudian secara bertahap dikembangkan oleh manajemen Universitas Negeri Semarang menuju pelayanan yang lebih modern, yang lebih praktis, dan juga memenuhi kebutuhan zaman. Sebagai perpustakaan modern, kami sangat terbantu dengan peralatan dari biblioteka. Kami menggunakan self-check, kemudian gate, kemudian workstation yang digunakan untuk melayani peminjaman buku, dan juga kita yang terbaru menggunakan alat yang dikenal dengan istilah AMH, alat untuk mengembalikan buku secara otomatis. Kami menyebutnya Automatic Book Return. Saat ini Universitas Negeri Semarang memiliki 8 fakultas dan 1 program pasca sarjana. Kami akan melakukan pengembangan dalam bentuk integrasi sistem dan juga peralatan yang ada di fakultas-fakultas untuk menjadi satu bagian yang tersistem dengan perpustakaan pusat.
Saya dan teman-teman pustakawan di Rumah Ilmu terbantu, yang jelas terbantu ya dengan alat biblioteka ini. Jadi kita memanfaatkan waktu sebagai pustakawan ini, menggunakan waktu sebaik-baiknya untuk mengembangkan diri. Kita membuat penelitian, kita mengerjakan pekerjaan-pekerjaan online. Kita juga melayani beberapa akses jurnal yang dibutuhkan oleh pemustaka, baik dosen maupun mahasiswa.
Untuk pengalaman pakai self-check sih sangat praktis banget ya. Karena nggak perlu lagi mondar-mandir harus tanda tangan atau apapun. Cukup kita kasih pengembalian, masukin NIM udah kelar semua.
Kelebihannya lagi, jika kita masih belum melakukan pengecekan biodata alias absen, itu kita tidak bisa meminjam seenaknya sendiri karena nanti pasti ada sensor yang otomatis mengetahui.
Terima kasih biblioteka sudah membantu kami sebagai pustakawan, dan teman-teman pemustaka yang lainnya sangat-sangat terbantu.
Saran saya untuk perpustakaan lain, ya penggunaan alat seperti self-check, kemudian gate, kemudian workstation, itu menjadi hal yang tidak boleh tidak, harus disediakan oleh setiap perpustakaan yang ingin menjadi perpustakaan modern. Jadi biblioteka menjadi salah satu solusi di dalamnya.
Good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, please be ready. We will sing the national anthem Indonesia Raya. Thank you. We are hoping that this webinar runs smoothly and also beneficial for attendees. Let us begin by reading a prayer according to each religion and belief. Prayer start. Finish. Welcome to the international webinar, The Role of Academic Libraries in the Sustainable Development Goals SDGs. I am Mutiang Raini, your moderator for today. I also would like to greet Professor Dr. Renat Abdul Haris, Vice Rector of Academic and Student Affairs, Universitas Indonesia. Our honorable speaker, Dr. Nur Ezan binti Syenasir from Persatuan Pustakaan Malaysia. Dr. Shiranti Wijasundara, Librarian of University of Colombo, Sri Lanka. Mr. Wisnu Yuwono, SE, Master of International Affairs, PhD, Head of Transformation, Risk Management, and Monitoring Evaluation Bureau, Universitas Indonesia. Ms. Dita Garnita, SKM, Librarian of Universitas Indonesia. Mrs. Maria Esos M. Home, Head of Universitas Indonesia Library. And all of the respectable participants of international webinar, The Role of Academic Libraries in the Sustainable Development Goals SDGs. This webinar is supported by iGroup and Sagung Seto. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me first to read the agenda for today. The first agenda is the opening and welcome remark. Second, presentation from the speakers. Third, question and answer session. There is also a quiz for 5 winners. Then conclusion and photo session. This webinar can also be watched on the UI Library YouTube channel, youtube.com/perpustakaan-UI. Ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to listen the opening speech delivered by Vice Rector of Academic and Student Affairs, Universitas Indonesia. We would also like to request the Vice Rector to open the international webinar, The Role of Academic Libraries in the Sustainable Development Goals SDGs. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Dr. Renat Abdul Haris.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is great pleasure for me to welcome you to international webinar hosted by UI Library. Distinguished speaker, Mrs. Dr. Nur Ezan binti Syenasir from Persatuan Pustakawan Malaysia, Mrs. Dr. Cheranti Wijayasundara, librarian of University of Columbia, Sri Lanka, Dr. Wisnu Yuwono, Head of Tram Bureau, Universitas Indonesia, Mrs. Dita Garnita, librarian of Universitas Indonesia, and also Ms. Mutia Anggreni, librarian of Universitas Indonesia, and all respected representatives of librarian and academic communities. Chairman of the Association of Librarian and Academic Libraries in Indonesia, lecturer and student of Universitas Indonesia, UI Library Coordinator, UI Library Staff, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and international webinar participants. Praise be to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for His permission. We all have gathered here today on the occasions of the International Webinar Series. First, organized by the University of Indonesian Library with the theme, the role of academic libraries in the Sustainable Development Goals. Ladies and gentlemen, changing our words. This is the 2030 agenda for the sustainable development was the theme of the SDGs program launched by the United Nations on September 25, 2015. It was officially legitimized by a world leader and as global development agreement. The agenda contained 17 goals and 169 targets that become the global action plan on the next 15 years to end poverty, inequality, and uphold environmental protections. Following up to the commitment, President Jokowi has signed the presidential regulation on SDGs number 59 of 2017 on the implementation of sustainable development goals in Indonesia, governing that this should be carried in participatory manner by involving all parties. The SDGs program has become part of the Nawacita Development Program, and university has highly strategic role in shaping the character of its educations. Ladies and gentlemen, Universitas University's effort to support the realization of sustainable development goals is beginning to influence the benchmark for world university ranking. In the perspective of global young generations, institutions that are taking significant measures on sustainability issues are admirable and influential to their consideration of the choice. Universities, especially in Indonesia, are playing a highlight strategic role in supporting the nation to achieve the SDGs by 2030. Their responsibilities are not limited to improving the quality of education, ensuring the technological progress and society development through research, discovery, and knowledge creation. Furthermore, education and holistic approach should be focusing in creating and increasing its quality to better development outcome for future individual and future society. The time higher education impact ranking over the years has proven that universities in Indonesia are making strong impact, and especially for Universitas Indonesia has been ranked at 18th just recently. Ladies and gentlemen, libraries within universities has been playing very important role in providing knowledge and information services. They can also actively contribute to support the SDGs. In several development countries, university libraries have been carrying initiative and program with the perspective of achieving the SDGs. They are more than capable to contribute in the context of education as well as access to high quality information. This webinar themes the role of academic libraries in the Sustainable Development Goals should be considered as the challenge to university libraries in providing new knowledge and solutions to support the goals of SDGs. Universitas Indonesia is fully committed to support all development programs and activities carried out any UI member in order to achieve an international standard. We hope that this webinar will be an eye-opener and source of opportunities to all participants to think further on the role of libraries in supporting the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals and serve as inspirations for librarians and information activists in Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of you who generously support this event and ensuring for its success. Please accept my highest gratitude to all parties, especially to the speaker, moderator, head of Universitas Indonesia Library, coordinator, participant of webinar, and the committee who have prepared everything in order for the first series international webinar to run well. By saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, International Webinar Series 1, with the theme, the role of academic libraries in sustainable development school is officially open. Once again, I ensure that the webinar will be profitable and the next few hours will be enjoyable and fruitful for everyone of you. Thank you very much. Wallahul muwaffiq ila aqwamit thoriq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Professor Abdul Haris. Now we are going to listen the brief introduction of the webinar delivered by Head of Universitas Indonesia Library, Mrs. Maria Esas M. Hum. Please welcome Mrs. Maria.
Okay, thank you, Miss Mutia. Can you hear my voice clearly?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, we would like to thank you and welcome to the international webinar organized by the UA Library. Respected Vice Rector for Academic and Student Affairs, Universitas Indonesia, Professor Dr. Renat Abdul Haris, Master of Science. Distinguished speakers, Dr. Nur Edzan binti Cek Nasir from Persatuan Pustakawan Malaysia. How are you today, Dr. Nur? I hope you are healthy. Okay, Dr. Kiranti Wijay Sundara, Librarian of University of Colombo, Sri Lanka. Mr. Visnu Yono, PhD, Head of TREM Bureau, Universitas Indonesia. And whom I proud of, Miss Dita Garnita, Bachelor of Public Health, Librarian of Universitas Indonesia. And moderator of this webinar, Miss Mutia Anggraini, Bachelor of Humanities, Librarian of Universitas Indonesia. With respect to, ladies and gentlemen, Chairman of the Association of Librarians and Academic Libraries, Head of the Department of Library and Information Science, Faculty of Cultural Sciences, Universitas Indonesia, and staff, lecturer and student of the Universitas Indonesia, UA Library Coordinator, UA Library staff, and of course, distinguished participant of this international webinar. Alhamdulillah, for his permission, we all have gathered here today on the occasion in the international webinar organized by the University of Indonesia Library with the themes The Role of Academic Libraries in the Sustainable Development Goals, Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, academic libraries and their librarian to some extent play strategic roles in accomplishing the SDGs, mainly access to quality education in developing countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, and Sri Lanka. Through its professional librarian, highly selected collection, state-of-the-art information and communication technology, sustainable funds, and supportive management, the academic libraries around the world set surely keen initiative and good program dealing with SDGs-related issues. To keep in touch with the dynamic development in realizing SDGs in Asia, contact and share updated knowledge to their all stakeholder. In 2022, UI Library, we hold a series of national and international webinars with the main theme, Digital Transformation of Academic Libraries. These main themes include 7 national webinars and 3 international webinars. The subtheme of the first international webinar is the role of academic libraries in the Sustainable Development Goals. We raise this theme in order to gain knowledge and insight and how the role of universities and libraries in several countries, especially in the Southeast Asian region, contribute to the SDGs. Then, what kind of activities and programs have been carried out to achieve the SDGs? Ladies and gentlemen, today we invite for competent speaker, namely Dr. Nur Ehsan binti Cek Nasir, Dr. Kiranti Wijayasundara, both speakers from Malaysia and Sri Lanka will be present their material on the role of libraries in supporting universities in achieving the SDGs. The library plan a strategy, innovation, and initiative to develop program to support the perspective of achieving the SDGs. And Mr. Wisnu Juwono, PSD, will present about the role of universities in achieving the SDGs, implementation of SDGs at UI, so method for monitoring the progress of the SDGs and strategies initiative carried out by universities in the perspective of SDGs. And then Ms. Dita Garnita, we asked to share about the identification of UIANA collection in UI library related to SDGs 3 indicator, good health and well-being, UA library strategy recommendation, especially related to reference services and collection in supporting the achievement of SDGs. Ladies and gentlemen, the target of this international webinar is the implementation of activities in the library which aims to achieve the SDGs. The participants of the webinar are college libraries manager in Southeast Asia, professional organization manager, library and archive surveys, lecturer and student, as well as public. The duration of this webinar is 3 hours 30 minutes. This event is free and participants will get electronic certificate, material, and for the lucky participant will get souvenir from us. Ladies and gentlemen, before I end, I would like to express my gratitude to all parties, especially to the Vice Rector for Academic and Student Affairs at UA, speakers and moderator, UA library partners, participants, the coordinators, project officer, Ms. Intan, the person in charge of the first international webinar series, Mrs. Lely, and all the committee that I cannot mention one by one, who have prepared everything so that today first series of international webinar can run well. Okay, welcome to the webinar. Hopefully it will be useful. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq walhidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Mrs. Maria. The next session is a photo session. I would like to invite the Honorable Vice Rector of Academic and Student Affairs Universitas Indonesia, our Honorable Speaker, Dr. Shiranti Wijayasundara, Dr. Nur Aizan binti Nasir, Mr. Wisnu Yuwono, and Ms. Dita Garnita, and also Head of Universitas Indonesia Library to take a position because we will start the photo session. The committee can be helped to take a photo together. Mr. Hanafi.
Okay, what I said, I will start. 1, 2, 3. Next. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Don't forget that this webinar can be well organized with the support of iGroup and Sagung Seto. Okay, before we start, I would like to remind all of us to please keep our mic off. Please rename your display name as follows: country and name, example Indonesia_Ahmad Bahrain. If you have any question or comments, please submit your question on the question link, which will be sent by the committee in the chat box. Don't forget to mention your name and institution because there will be 3 prizes for 3 selected Q&A participants. So let's begin our session today. The first one, we have Ms. Dita Garnita, librarian from Universitas Indonesia. Ms. Dita began her career in Universitas Indonesia Library on 2015. Ms. Dita is currently completing her master's studies at Library and Information Science Study Program, Universitas Indonesia, and she wrote a thesis with the title Bibliometric Analysis of UI Student Work Related to Good Health and Well-Being as a Sustainable Development Goals. And the next one, we have the President of Persatuan Pustakawan Malaysia, Dr. Nur Aizan binti Nasir. Dr. Nur Aizan binti Nasir began her career as a librarian in 1983 at the Library of University of Science Malaysia, and now she is the Chief Librarian of the University of Malaya. She is the recipient of Tokoh Pustakawan PPM 2017 and the Darjah Paduka Cura Simanjakini atau or Perak Darul Rizwan. Her research interests center on social media, library association, journal publishing, and information literacy. She has also presented and published numerous of papers. And speaking of the role of libraries in supporting university in achieving the SDGs, we would like to see the experiences that library in South Asia have made, especially in Sri Lanka. And joining us from Sri Lanka, Dr. Shiranti Wijayasundara. Dr. Shiranti Wijayasundara is a senior assistant librarian of University of Colombo, Sri Lanka. She completed her Doctor of Philosophy in Informatics at the Graduate School of Library, Information and Media Studies, University of Tsukuba, Japan. She has published hundreds of journal papers, conference papers, book chapters, abstracts, and other publications. She has also received many awards, the most recent being the Award of Excellence from the Nilis Research Symposium, Sri Lanka on January 2022. And now we will move to the last speakers from Universitas Indonesia, Mr. Wisnu Yuwono, SM, Master of International Affairs, PhD, Head of Transformation, Risk Management, and Monitoring Evaluation Bureau, Universitas Indonesia. He completed his doctoral degree of philosophy at the London School of Economics and Political Science, LSE, in 2016. In 2020, he was awarded the Makara Dharma Bhakti 10 Years Award for 10 years of service at Universitas Indonesia. And in the same year, he was awarded the 3rd winner in Social Science Broad Subject for the Best Faculty Competition at Universitas Indonesia. So the first one to speak is Miss Dita Garnita from Universitas Indonesia. Good morning, Miss Dita.
Good morning, Mbak Mutia. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly, Miss Dita. So without further ado, I'm pleased to turn the mic over to Miss Dita. So now please welcome Miss Dita.
Thank you so much, Mbak Mutia, and hello to all participants. First of all, I would like to thank the committee for the opportunity for me to speak here. It's an honor to speak here with such great speakers like Dr. Ezen, Dr. Kiranti, and Dr. Wisnu. I'm here as the library staff. I'm not an expert, so hopefully I can share some things to you about our topic today, the role of academic libraries in sustainable development goals. Okay, I'm going to share my materials. Can you see the presentation, Mbak Mutia?
Yes, we can see your presentation, Miss Dita.
Okay, thank you very much. And good morning to all of the participants. Thank you for being here. I see some people are watching on YouTube today. Absolutely love the enthusiasm, and thank you so much for being here today. I would like to share some of my maybe my knowledge or some of the UI library best practices in aligning the strategies in the library services, facilities, and also collections with the Sustainable Development Goals. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, before we talk about the library initiatives and strategies, maybe we can talk about the development or the historical development of Sustainable Development Goals. As we know, the Sustainable Development Goals is a United Nations initiatives, and there are 3 major UN conferences that contributed to the development of the SDGs. These conferences. Okay, so through these conferences, the UN recognized that human well-being depends on the quality of the environment, and therefore it is in the interest of humans to preserve their environment. And maybe some of you are already aware of the existence of the Millennium Development Goals. So before we have the SDGs, in the year, if I'm not mistaken, in the year 2000, there's a conference called the Millennium Summit that was held to establish the Millennium Development Goals, or MDGs. And these goals, these Millennium Development Goals, would be used to benchmark progress in the implementation of sustainable development. This Millennium Development Goals has some goals, some targets, some indicators that will be used to monitor and evaluate the progress of the goals implementation. And then after that, in 2012, in a conference that's called EU+20 Conference, the United Nations and the international community gathered to make some commitments to accelerate the achievement of the MDGs. After that, we have the Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs is also known with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Okay, so these are the goals of the MDGs and SDGs. As you can see, the Millennium Development Goals has 8 goals. The first one is eradicate extreme poverty and hunger, which is still present in the SDGs. We also have a goal, Millennium Development Goal number 2, achieve universal primary education. This is also still present in SDGs number 4, The number 3 Millennium Development Goals, promote gender equality and empower women, is also in the SDGs as well. And then we have 3 goals, MDG 4, 5, and 6, related to health. These goals are now part of the target of the SDG number 3, good health and well-being. And MDG number 7, ensure environmental sustainability. This is, I think, the one that make the difference between MDGs and SDGs, because in SDGs we have several goals that are maybe more specific, more enhanced on the sustainability aspect, such as the climate action, life on water, life on land, and then industry, innovation, infrastructure. And we also have some similarities in goals number 8 and number 17, global partnership for the development. And this is because we cannot achieve these goals alone. We have to have collaboration between countries, between NGOs, between other institutions, business, etc., to achieve these goals. Okay, next. Okay, so in Indonesia, the SDGs are divided into 4 categories or 4 pillars. The first one is the social development pillars. This is consisting of 5 SDGs. The first one is SDG 1, no poverty, SDG 2, zero hunger, SDG 3, good health and well-being, SDG 4, quality education, and SDG 5, gender equality. The second pillar is economic development. We have goal number 7, affordable and clean energy, number 8, decent work and economic growth, number 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure, and also number 10, reduce inequalities, and number 7, partnership for the goals. And the third pillar is the environmental development, consisting of goal number 6, clean water and sanitation, number 11, sustainable cities and communities, number 12, responsible consumption and production, number 13, climate action, number 14, livable water, and number 15, life on land. And the last but not least is law and governance pillar, consisting of 1 goal, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions. Okay, so next, how to measure the SDG progress. On a global level, we have the Sustainable Development Report. This report is conducted by the Sustainable Development SDSN networks. This is the nonprofit organization by the United Nations who combines data and analysis produced by international organizations, civil society organization, and research center. And the government, both the national or local government, can also contribute in providing comments and feedback on the national implementation and coordination mechanism for the SDG survey held by the SDSM. And on the national level, we also have the Voluntary National Review, or VNR. In Indonesia, the Indonesia Voluntary National Review was prepared by oversimulating the inclusivity and transparency principles and involving 4 partnership platforms, which is national and local governments, civil organizations and media, and then philanthropy and business, and also universities, experts, and research centers as well. As library, maybe we can contribute in providing the data for these reports as well. but maybe we can touch on this subject later in the presentation, because now we will see the progress towards the SDGs in Indonesia. So as we can see, some of our sustainable development goals are already on track. For example, for the goals number 4, quality education, number 6, number 8, and number 12. But some or most of the goals are still having moderately improving or even stagnating. And based on our SDG index score, I think if we want to achieve all the goals in 2030, we need all hands on deck to help us achieve these goals. Okay, so how is the role of university in achieving the SDGs? So these are 3 roles that university can do to support the achievement of Indonesia SDGs. The first of all, we can improve the environmental sustainability of universities. And then after that, we can combine the expertise of staff and students through research and discussion. And the third one, we can also encourage the application of knowledge to the real world context. Okay, so to measure the SDGs progress in universities, we have 2 kinds of ranking that can measure this. The first one is the impact rankings. This university rankings is based on 17 SDGs goals, and the second one in the University of Indonesia, we also have the UI Green Metric World University Ranking. This green metric maybe are not as comprehensive as the TH impact ranking, but it's also touched on some sustainability subject as well. And we will not be talking about these 2 rankings today, but for the UI library strategies to support UI in the SDGs, I will be basing the strategies on the TH impact ranking metrics and indicators to help us see it more clearly about which aspect on the SDGs goals that we can help achieve in the library. Okay, so obviously we can help achieve them by providing facilities, services, hosting some events, and then we can improve the human resources or the librarian aspect as well. And we can also improve on the collection aspects. But what are the SDGs that we can improve in the library, and what's our best practice? Let's see. The first one related to the first goal, no poverty. There's a target called local startup assistance. So in this aspect, we can provide assistance in the local community, supporting the startup of financially and socially sustainable business through relevant education or resources. And we can do some mentorship programs, training, workshops, or giving them access to university facilities. In the past, Universitas Indonesia Library has hosted some events related to this. We have an event called Knowledge-Based Industry. We also hosted some event on our anniversary, our birthday. The first picture here shows the cooking class that we host on knowledge-based industry. And then we also have the workshop on how to make batik, and I don't know if you guys know this, I think most of the participants are from Indonesia and Malaysia, so how to say jumputan in English? Maybe you already know this. We have the workshop on making batik and jumputan in a sustainable way. We also have hosted some workshops related to our culture as well. This workshop is about traditional wedding makeup. And in these workshops, we invite some marginalized community as well, and then non-formal and informal educators, and then also some people who live outside of the university. So through these workshops, we can provide some assistance to a community who wants to maybe start some entrepreneurship. After that, we are moving on to the goal number 3 about outreach programs. So in Universitas Indonesia, we are very lucky that we have some supporting units in the university. For example, the hospital, the occupational health and safety unit, and we also have risk management and other units as well that can help our staff and our students stay healthy. On the top and bottom picture, we can see our staff getting the fire safety training. We also have some first aid training as well in the past, and we also have medical checkup routinely every year. And before the pandemic, I think we also have the sports program every Friday. We have aerobic organized by the occupational health and safety unit in their building. And we have some posters here, some banners about the health protocol during COVID-19, the height of COVID-19 as well. Okay, so moving on to goal number 4, I think we can contribute a lot in this program. On the goal number 4, we have a target called public resources. So library can provide access to educational resources for those not studying at the university. So Universitas Indonesia Library opens for public, but we also have some open access resources that can be accessed by Universitas Indonesia students and also non-Universitas Indonesia students for the general public to access on our website, lib.ui.ac.id. You can see on our website we have open access collections for our students' thesis, dissertation, and undergraduate thesis. We also have or held some online training and also training on the spot for our visitors who are from outside UI. Usually we have this training every Wednesday before the pandemic, but now during the pandemic, because we are still limiting the numbers of visitors to the library, maximum 500 visitors per day, the visitors from general public can only visit the library on Saturday. But they can still access our collection or open access collection through the internet or through our website. We also have some information literacy training on our YouTube channel. So if you want to learn about how to use research tools or how to browse or search for some literatures, you can go to our YouTube channel to watch the recordings of some of our information literacy training. But I think most of them still in Indonesian. Maybe next time we can make some in English. Okay, and then the other target of goal number 4 is public events. So in this target, library can contribute through hosting some events at the university that are open to general public, such as public lectures or community educational events. As you can see on the top left picture, we have the dongeng session or folklore telling session or storytelling session, and we also have the art performance here. We have some children doing some drawing on our library plaza, and we also have some exhibition on our library in collaboration with other institutions also outside of Universitas Indonesia, such as the National Museum and then the Red Cross. And we also have hosted some book review or book discussion session as well that are open to general public. Okay, for the next target on goal number 4, we can ensure that access to the library learning is accessible to all, regardless of ethnicity, religion, disability, immigration status, or gender. So UI library is open to public. Everybody can enter. Everybody can use our facilities, utilize our services, and they can also speak to our librarians. They can learn from them on how to search for literatures and browse some resources for their research or other purposes as well. On gender equalities, I think we can agree that in Indonesia, the field of library information science is the women in library and information science field are not underrepresented, but I think this is not a criticism. This is just an observation. Inside the library and information science, sometimes in the information and technology unit, it's still dominated by men. So maybe this can be something that we can improve in the future, hopefully. Okay, the next one, we have free drinking water provided. This is the facilities that we also provide for our students and our staff in the library. We have dispensers on each room, on each staff room, and we also have the public dispenser for students on the second floor. Okay, and then the next one, goal number 7, affordable and clean energy. Target number 7.1, energy efficient innovation and building. So I want to give you some information about our current library building. This building is was built on 2011, and on the process of building, we have the design that's used the roof, what is it called, the green roof, and I think based on research, this green roof, depending on the material of the grass or of the plants on the roof, can decrease the temperature up to 4 degrees Celsius inside the building. We also have we also have a lot of windows in the library, so we can hopefully save some energy or electricity for air conditioning and lighting. This is the example of how we can contribute to goal number 7. Okay, goal number 8, employment practice unions. Obviously, some of our librarians are active in the library unions or library associations, such as in Ikatan Pustakawan Indonesia and in Forum Perpustakaan Perguruan Tinggi, national and local level. And through these activities, they can maybe contribute in the labor rights issues for librarians. Goal number 9, research income from industry and commerce for academic staff. The library can contribute here in the reference services. So in Universitas Indonesia, the subject for our reference services are divided into 3 categories or 3 subjects. We have, first of all, the health science. Second, we also have the science and technology. And we also have the social and humanity subject. So our subject specialist librarians can help our lecturers, and our students who are doing some research work that is sponsored by industry and commerce. They can help in searching the literatures and then searching for some resources and other stuff as well. And they can also teach them on how to use research tools such as the plagiarism prevention tools like Identicat and Trinity, and also some tools like Mendeley, Zotero as well for reference management services. And we can also use some tools like Scopus or Scival to identify which of the researchers from other universities that can be asked to collaborate in relation to the topic that we research. For goal number 10, accessible facilities, we library provide some accessible facilities for people with disabilities, such as the ramp access that you can see on the screen. This can be used by the wheelchair users, but they can also use our elevators. We have 3 elevators in our library building that can be used to go from the 1st floor to the 4th or to the 8th floor. And then after that, we also have the bathroom or the restroom for disabled or for the wheelchair user as well. And in terms of collections, some of our database that we subscribe have some features to help people with visual impairment to listen to the text of their journal articles and ebook as well. You can also use some accessibility features in the application that you use, such as if you use Adobe Acrobat to read our ebooks, you can use the read out loud features. So if you have visual impairment, you can hear the text. And then next, we have goals number 11, sustainable cities and communities. One of the target in the TH Impact ranking is public access to libraries. So we can provide public access to libraries, including books and publications. Yeah, this has been mentioned before that after the pandemic, we have opened the library for general public every Saturday. Hopefully, if we can control this pandemic any further, we can increase the capacity of people that can visit the library every day, so the public can go to Universitas Indonesia Library every day, just like before the pandemic. And then once again, we have the open access collection on our website. And if you want to read our books, our physical collection, you can also go to our building. And then after that, you can go to this counter. We have the registration for the public on the first floor. And then after that, you can use all of our facilities, services, and read our collections. Okay, related to goal number 11, we also have target called record and preserve cultural heritage. So in Universitas Indonesia Library, we have a special collection called the ancient manuscript and classic books. This collection room is located on the second floor on the library. And we have more than 2,000 titles of ancient manuscript with Japanese, Dutch, and then Arabic language or letter. And we also have conducted or hosted some event or exhibitions in the past to introduce our manuscript collection to the general public. For example, in this picture, this is our manuscript exhibition on the knowledge-based industry event in the past. Okay, so goals number 11, allow remote working. During the pandemic, we allow our staff to do remote working. We have the working from home and working from office system. And the percentage of people who work from home and work from office is based on the status of your of the government status of the pandemic in your area. And then during the remote working, the library also lent some laptops to our staff so they can do some work from home, such as conducted some online training, and also giving some online services, online learning services, and etc.
Miss Dita, sorry, you have 5 minutes left.
Thank you, Mbak Mutia. Okay, so next we will we'll touch on this issue, how library can provide expert advice to government and also provide some maybe some data for the partnership for the goals. So we can utilize our library collection to support the advocacy process to the government or other research in achieving the SDGs. So first one, we can recommend as librarian some resources related to SDGs. I think some of you already know that Taylor and Francis has this SDGs collection that you can access through taylorfrancis.com/SDGO. If you subscribe to the database, maybe you can have a lot of collections that's open to you to access. For other database, I haven't found the databases that categorize its collection using the SDGs goals, but maybe as reference librarian, you can use the appropriate keywords based on the SDGs goals, targets, and indicators, so you can help the users in finding the right resources. In Indonesia, we also have the platform called scholar.ui.ac.id. So in this platform, you can see or you can read some of our publications written by our researchers and researchers related to the SDGs. If you click on this goal number 1, you can see some of the research related to goal number 1. If you click number 2, you can see some research related to goal number 2. However, this only cover research by lecturers and researchers. As we know that we also have research by our students as well, such as undergrad thesis, master thesis and dissertation, and we cannot find it in here. If you want to find the research by students, you can go to our website in lib.ui.ac.id. However, in the e-library website, we haven't categorized it by the SDGs. So maybe this can be the opportunity to our librarian to conduct some research to analyze which of the collections are related to each goals of the SDGs. I personally, I realized that I don't have the range to maybe categorize all of the collection to all of the SDGs, since I was from Faculty of Public Health when I was an undergraduate student. Maybe I will show you about my ongoing research about the Library Vienna collection related to Goal 3, good health and well-being. So we have some dissertation thesis and undergraduate thesis that are published on 2011 to 2020. We have more than 2,000 titles related to goal number 3, good health and well-being. And we can identify the subject, the popular subject on good health and well-being. As you can see, we can, I think some of the subjects are related to goal number 3, is target number 1 on maternal health or mother and child health. And we can use this data for our reference thesis and our collection development as well. And then we can also identify which of the SDG 3 targets that haven't been researched as much. For example, one of the most popular SDG 3 target is non-communicable disease and mental health and well-being. It's been researched by more than 400 students. So maybe if you want to research for something new, we can do some research related to this target, substance abuse, road traffic accidents, and then sexual and reproductive health care services. As librarian, you can use it to recommend to the users. We can also analyze what are the topic clusters related to SDGs targets. As we can see, we have 17 clusters related to the Sustainable Development Goals number 3, good health and well-being here. And then we can also analyze the faculty members or the lecturers' expertise related to SDG 3 targets. I'm sorry, I have to censor the faculty member's name because of the confidentiality issues, that the library can use it to maybe send them some journal articles or ebooks related to the topic that are their expertise. For example, through the e-resources delivery services program that's already in our library services program. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you very much, Mbak Tia. I'm sorry if there's a lot of mohon maaf apabila banyak kekurangan. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dita. And I want to remind all of you, ladies and gentlemen, to submit your question on the question link bit.ly/question WI1, and the committee has written a question link in the chat box. Don't forget to mention your name and institution, because there will be 3 prizes for 3 selected Q&A participants. Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Dita, and we will move to the next session. We have the President of Persatuan Pustakaan Malaysia, Dr. Nur Ezan binti Shanasir. Good morning, Dr. Nur Ezan.
Good morning.
How are you, Dr.
I'm fine, thank you. Saya bersiaran dari Kuala Lumpur ya. I'm not in KL right now.
Okay, it's far away from KL.
Yeah, we can't travel right now. It would be good to be there actually, but I'm presenting from Kuala Lumpur.
It's okay. We can hear you clearly and we can see you clearly.
Okay.
And with that, I'm pleased to turn the mic over to you, Dr. Noriza.
Let me share my screen first and see whether it works.
Okay.
Okay, this one, share. This one. Okay. 1 minute, yeah.
Okay.
Hang on. Okay, Assalamualaikum, selamat pagi semua. Because I'm having lots of things on my screen right now. Okay, Assalamualaikum, selamat pagi semua. First of all, thank you, Universitas Indonesia, for inviting me to be the speaker today. I'm the past president of PPM actually. PPM is Persatuan Pustakawan Malaysia. I'm the past president. I was president for 2014 to 2016. And I also retired as the chief librarian of University of Malaya in 2017. So I'm currently now doing work for IFLA, International Federation of Library and Library Association and Institutions. 1 minute, I'm trying to get my... Yeah, I got it already. Trying to make my speaker. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, I got it. 1 minute, yeah. Okay, now I'm here. Okay, so I was asked to talk about the role of libraries in supporting universities in achieving the SDGs Malaysia's experience. So I'm going to share with the audience where and what Malaysia and Malaysian universities are doing. From Ms. Dita's presentation, I think Universitas Indonesia is doing quite a lot compared to what we are doing in Malaysia. But let's see how it goes, yeah. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about what are SDGs. I think Ms. Dita did a very good outline on this just now. So I will just touch on it a bit. What is Malaysia's position? What is the library's position globally and also in Malaysia? And what is the role of the library in supporting the university? What role can we play? Again, Ms. Dita touched quite a lot on the things that they are being done or can be done by a university in Indonesia. And the last portion I will cover is how PPM, our library association, is supporting the libraries and also supporting the SDGs initiatives. So what are SDGs? SDGs are, in essence, a blueprint, yeah, for peace and prosperity for people and the planet now and into the future. It was something that was developed by the United Nations, and they label it as 2030 United Nations Agenda for Sustainable Development. The short form we use now is SDG. The other short form they use is now 2030 Agenda. So if people are saying 2030 Agenda, what they're talking about is actually the SDGs, okay? So 2015, all member states, including Indonesia and Malaysia and other ASEAN countries, agreed to adopt the 2030 Agenda. So what that means is that whether we like it or not, we are part and parcel of SDG. So there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs. There are 247 global indicators. These are indicators. Each SDG would have an indicator. If you saw Ms. Dita's slides to the later part, she wrote like 11.7.8. Those are the SDG indicators and target. Okay, so the first figure would be the SDG number itself, followed by the indicator, and you have the target. So it's that way, 11.3, 0.4, 7.5, 0.6. So those are the indicator, the goal, and the target. So the tagline for SDG is leave no one behind, meaning developed countries must do their part to make sure that developing countries are on par with them when you are talking about the SDGs, the 17, no poverty, education, etc., etc. So in 2020, the United Nations did a very comprehensive review framework, and they made major changes to the SDG itself. And at the end of the day, from 247 global indicators, they brought it down to 231 indicators, still within 17 targets, still with 17 goals and 169 targets. So that's quite a lot actually. But when you look at the targets individually, it's supposed to cover a lot of things for each goal. So now we are having only 17 SDGs, 169 targets, 231 indicators, okay? And this was approved in March 2020. So everybody's familiar with this. I think Ms. Dita also showed this 1 to 17. But if you were to ask me what is number 1, what is number 2, what is number 3, God forbid, I cannot remember. I only can remember the first one, no poverty, and the last one, partnership for goals. The rest in between, I'm sometimes clueless. So every time somebody asks me about, then they say, can we do this with SDG 7? So I have to look at the SDG table and say, oh, SDG 7 is affordable and clean energy. So it's quite a lot to remember actually, but I think it's good if we can remember the ones that are associated with our libraries, yeah, what we can do. So what is Malaysia's position? Okay, Malaysia is quite, how do I say it? It's quite excited, or rather they want to be actively participating in the SDGs. We have our own translation. Somebody from Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka translated the SDGs because our national language is Bahasa Malaysia, so they've translated it. No poverty, tiada kemiskinan, zero hunger is kelaparan sifat, etc. Sampailah right to the 17th SDG, but still, if you ask me, I still cannot remember. Okay, so this is our governance structure. Yeah, the government has entrusted the SDGs to the Economic Planning Unit, which is under the Prime Minister's Department. So I guess the head of the government for Malaysia is our Prime Minister. In Indonesia, it's the President. So because our system of government is different. So the importance of the SDG is stressed and placed very high up by the government, so much so that it falls directly under the Prime Minister's Department and is under the Economic Planning Unit. This is the unit that actually plans the economy of the country, and they prepare everything that's associated with the development of the country. So we have our Prime Minister. So we have the National SDG Council, which is chaired by the Prime Minister. And then under him, we have the steering committee, which is chaired by the Director General of the EPU. So if you look at the side here, you can see that these are what they are tasked to do. Indonesia had, I think Dita showed just now, Indonesia had 4 pillars, yeah, social development, economic development, environmental development, law and governance. In Malaysia's case, they do it a bit differently. They put it under working committee. So we have got 5 working committees. Inclusivity, you have got the SDGs there. Well-being, you have got 3 SDGs. We have got human capital, only 1, education. Because education, I think, is of primary importance to every country. Then we have environment and natural resources. We have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you remember Ms. Dita's Millennium Development Goals, this was lumped as one component in MDG. But under SDG, they have broken up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 components. And the last one is economic growth. We have got 8, 9, and 17. So Indonesia has got 4 pillars. Malaysia is working on 5 working committee. So each working committee will be represented by members from the United Nations agency, private sector, NGOs, CSOs, and academia. Academia is where libraries come in. Okay, NGO is where Persatuan Pustakawan Malaysia comes in, because we are an NGO. So it's clearly stated in the government policy that these are the people who have to work with the government to make sure that the SDG is in place. Okay, so the goals, the guidelines are very clear. So SDG is an important agenda for Malaysia. Okay. So we have come out with, so far we have come out with 2 indicators. It's a publication, the link is there. We have one that was published in 2018 showing where we are with the SDGs. as of 2018, and another one is in 2019. March 2020, we had the pandemic and we are still recovering. We are now moving towards the endemic stage. So 2020 and 2021, the reports will be released hopefully by the end of this year. So these are the reports that we look for to see where Malaysia is when we are talking about the individual targets, the individual indicators, okay? And Malaysia has got a Malaysia plan, okay? A Malaysia plan means Malaysia plans, the government make a plan for it's a strategic plan, yeah? In a library, we call it strategic plan, but we call it a Malaysia plan. So this guides the development of the Malaysia for the next 4 years. So the 11th Malaysia plan was in 2016 to 2020, okay? So in the Malaysia plan itself, the Malaysian government has already aligned the various SDGs to the strategic trust, okay? In the Malaysia plan, we have strategic trusts, and each strategic trust has a set of SDGs that they are aligned to. So we can see that, again, as far as I'm concerned, Malaysia's government is very serious looking at this because they have mapped it to their 11th Malaysia plan. And last year, if I'm not mistaken, our Prime Minister released the 12th Malaysia plan. That will last from 2021 to 2025, okay? And he did say that he will continue to align the 12th Malaysia plan to the SDG goals, which means that if you realize that Malaysia has gone through 2 or 3 prime ministers within a very short span, 2 or 3 governments with a very short span, but it's good to know that whichever government is taking over, they are keen on keeping the SDG, and they have even come with a statement to say that they will still align the 12th Malaysia plan to SDG. So we're not worried there. So the 2030 agenda is still in place in Malaysia. Okay, what is the position of libraries? Globally, you have United Nations have given the task of looking after the SDGs for libraries to IFLA. It's clearly stated in this document. You can go to the website and look at it. They say what we are supposed to do, what is IFLA supposed to do, and they identified surprisingly only 4 goals. Yeah, I was quite surprised when this document came out, but this came out some time ago. They said that the library are only given, library is only related to 4 goals, 3 goals. Goal 4, goal 16, and goal 17. So what are they? I only know that 17 is partnership, let us look. It's quality education. 16 is peace, justice, and strong institution, and 17 is partnership for the goals. So United Nations recognized or told IFLA that these are the goals that you are involved. IFLA, International Federation of Library Association and Institution, responded by saying, look, the library fits in all the goals. So if Indonesian universities are looking for libraries, Indonesian university libraries are looking for what role can I play in the SDG, go and look at the IFLA document, and IFLA outlines the roles that we can play, yeah? And poverty in all its forms, they state that this is what we can do. This is what we can do. So this document we can use as a guideline as how we can progress with supporting our university in terms of the SDGs. So they have 1 until 7 here. So they lump these 2 together because it's about water. Okay, they don't want to have it separately. And you have got 9, 10, 11, 16, 17. 12, 13, 14, and 15, they lump it together because it's talking about the environment. I want to draw your attention to this one actually. This is a very important component which we tend to overlook. I think Dita did show in her slide just now. It's documentation and preservation of cultural heritage for future generations. These would be your manuscripts. I know Indonesia has got a lot of manuscripts. This is your manuscripts. This is your rare book collection. This is your Dutch, what else? Your Dutch collection. This would be your cultural, your batik, your wayang kulit. All the documentation about those would definitely fall under 11. And this is one of the primary roles I see librarians on libraries doing, because we are documenting and preserving the cultural heritage of our country. So people tend to overlook this because they tend to look at other things, yeah, but this is a very important component. Even your publication, your local content, books written by Indonesian authors are actually cultural heritage because it is produced published by local. So it is the cultural heritage, especially if it's written in the Indonesian language. Okay. So 11 is a very important point that you guys have to figure out and keep in mind while you are looking at the rest. It's a lot, 17 is a lot, but please remember, we do not have to fit in everything. We can pick and choose what is or what we are good at. Okay, don't try to put all 17 in. See what your collection is all about, see what your library services is all about, and gear it or map it to the relevant SDGs, okay? Because if you try to do everything 17 at one go, we can go crazy because it's a lot. Like I said, there are 169 indicators, 231 indicators. That is a lot, okay? So the other one is IFLA has done this. They have got the library map of the world, okay? IFLA has produced a library map of the world, and this is where librarians come in to tell their SDG stories. So like Dita was saying, if she, Universitas Indonesia opened their library services to the public, 500 people can come in at any one time on a Saturday. I was reading it just now. So probably someone can write about it, show evidence, show impact, and you submit it to the SDG stories, okay? And it can get published and people can know that, oh, this is what Indonesian libraries are doing to support the SDG for their country. This is a very good example of how we can show the world this is what we are doing. Otherwise, nobody knows. Otherwise, only people in Indonesia know, people in Malaysia know, people in Singapore know. The rest of the world doesn't know. But when your story gets published in the library map of the world, it is accessible worldwide and the audience is global. So try to get a story into here, okay? Now, what is Malaysia's position? This is very funny. Malaysia ratified or agreed to be part of accepted the UN Sustained SDG goals in 2015. Okay, if we look through the historical trail, they agreed to be part of it. We agreed to be part of it in 2015, but nothing happened as far as libraries were concerned. Don't ask me why. I'm still trying to figure out. After I've retired, I'm trying to figure out how come we were not directly involved. Now, when our government participated in the UN 2013 Agenda for Sustainable Development, what was Malaysian libraries and librarians' response? Okay, the question that I've been asking my librarians, my library committee, did we respond? Should we have responded? Should academic libraries respond? This is 2015, yeah, now it's 2022. So 7 years has gone. So what did the library in Malaysia do? Okay, I've been looking through, asking around, etc., looking at documentation, looking at publication, looking at everything I can find out. And in my opinion, this is my personal opinion, I could be wrong, somebody can challenge me to this, but this is my opinion. There was no response coming out from the library and information science domain that I can think of. Because in 2015, I was still an active chief librarian at the University of Malaya. I was also the president of the Library Association, but I did not recall responding to any of the calls for the SDG by the government. So my conclusion is that collectively we remain silent. We did not say anything. We just go on doing what we are doing, our functional and our day-to-day. And when I look back at it, my personal opinion is that maybe I personally, I wouldn't know how my library then can contribute to the SDG, because my library is an academic library. How can I end poverty? How can I help in providing clean water? This is really direct interpretation, yeah, of my opinion. And this was echoed by the Cornell University librarian, okay? And he echoed this as quite recently in 2021. He said that, I also sense that there is some skepticism that academic libraries can actually do anything to help. Yes, it is true that academic libraries cannot directly end poverty or eliminate hunger, okay? So like him, I was thinking of direct impact on the SDG itself. But actually we can do a lot of things. And most of the examples I'm looking at or going to present to you or suggest to you are from Australia. Because Australian libraries, especially academic libraries, are very strong in their move to support the university. So they have a lot of good examples coming up from Australia. And since it's the nearest to us, I see why not. So if Indonesian libraries or Malaysian librarians or anyone from Southeast Asia who wants to go to visit a country or a university that has done well as far as SDGs are concerned, Australia is so near to us instead of us going to UK. So some of the examples, what is happening right now in Malaysia, PPM, right now we are following what IFLA is doing because PPM is a member of IFLA. So whatever IFLA is doing, we look at them and we say, okay, we can do this. So we do it. So, but this, we only did this sometime in 2020. We were active in this. Libraries in Malaysia, yes. PNM is our national library, Perpustakaan Negara Malaysia, yes. Because they are doing the SDGs through their Perpustakaan Desa. They have got a lot of rural libraries, community libraries. So this is where they get in touch with the people and the community. So they do a lot of work that is related to SDG and they can report it and can link it. State libraries, yes. So we have got 14 states in Malaysia. Each state has got their own state library and each state library plus the national libraries, rural libraries is a huge force in Malaysia itself. So all these two entities are actively involved in SDGs, whether it is SDG 4, quality education, whether it's SDG 1, no poverty, SDG 2, zero hunger, they are there. And they are doing this through the provision of information and also through collaboration with the various local authorities. University libraries, sad to say, we are quite silent, but I think I just heard your rectors said that the Times Higher Education ranking now has included SDGs. So I think now university libraries in Malaysia has to back up and has to make sure that they are active in SDGs because now it's taken as a score in the ranking exercise. Special libraries, not so much because they are special to their office or their corporate library or their law library, so they are not really involved with SDGs. School libraries, yes. Okay, school libraries, they do a lot of this with the students because we have got students from marginalized group, the poor, the indigenous community. So school libraries are doing a lot of SDG work here. And school libraries, their primary SDG would be 4, quality education. They link everything to SDG number 4, quality education, which is rightly so, because they are responsible, they are under the Ministry of Education, and they are responsible for providing education to the masses, okay? Now, what is the role of the libraries in supporting the university? These are examples I took from Australia. And SDG is now our national agenda, okay? Even your rector did say that. And I think my Prime Minister also said that. So we as libraries and librarians, especially we are public university libraries and librarians, we have to be seen to be supporting, okay, the SDGs. So how do we do it? So taking examples from Australia. This one is SEPA. SEPA is something that our Prime Minister has enforced in his speech lots of time. Communication, education, public awareness. He wanted those who are familiar with the SDGs to actually communicate, educate, and make the public aware about SDG. So if we go to the, contohnya, the Malays kata kampung kan, is the villages, we go to the village, and we talk to the people about SDG, they say, oh, we understand, SDG is about this, blah, blah, blah. So that is what we should be doing, educating and communicating with the masses what SDG is all about, because we are librarians. And even if we cannot communicate to the community outside our university, we can communicate, advocate, and inform the university community of what SDG is all about. Bring the SDGs into the university through the library. How do you do it? You promote extensively. We have got, what do we have? We have got all those posters, all those boards that we can have buntings, we can have banners, and we have a lot of social media. So what one university in Australia is doing is, they have a library guide that is specially geared towards SDG and the university library. They have the various components there. Everything about SDG in Australia is linked to this particular web page. And I like this one. Yeah, they have, but this morning when I went, it's no longer there. This one I took last month. So they have got this. They have got this statement. This library supports the SDGs. So if your THE ranking people were to come across your library website and suddenly they see this, they say, okay, this university is serious in their SDG agenda, and the library can make this particular statement. So these are how you can support your university. You bring the SDG into your library through all your various social media. Put the SDG logo somewhere on your website, put your SDG logo somewhere, everywhere, and make people aware that there is such a thing as SDG and what SDG is all about, okay? This is an example from Victoria University in Australia. The other one is, I think Dita did stress that she has listed down people who are involved with SDGs in the health organization in a university. So this is another thing that libraries can do. You go out of your comfort zone and you approach academics who are actually involved in SDG-related initiatives and projects. In the University of Malaya Library, we have academics who are involved in water. They are doing a lot of water and conservation of forests and conservation of wildlife. So what do? Okay, you know that Professor A is doing research on an SDG-related topic. Approach them, offer your services. Okay, I'm from the library. Can I be part of the team so that the library can be responsible for your documentary research? If you need any document about whatever subject you are doing, the library will assist, okay? And we can also look out for, we can compile resources from them. I know academics compile their own resources, but with added job, we can lighten their load. We have the skills to search for the correct information, the right information, timely information, etc., etc. So you are the expert. Then you become responsible for the documentary research for that particular SDG research team. And if the items are not available in your library, librarians can do interlibrary loan because you have the connection. So this is where your role is. Be a member of an SDG-related project. Be an active member. Okay, probability number 2 is open your local content. Okay, you can help others. Okay, maybe you can help researchers in Malaysia. They are looking for something they cannot find. It's in Indonesia, but I cannot get it because it's embargo, etc., etc. Or maybe the item is in Philippines. We cannot get it because it's embargo, etc., etc. So how do we do this? How do we cross this embargo line, etc., etc.? Then we have got this concept which librarians are very, very familiar with. You have got open science, you have got open access, open educational resources, open data, research data management, information institutional repositories, and local content creation. These are all expertise of libraries and librarians, and what more, academic libraries. I know academic libraries in Malaysia is strong in this, but then our National Library is also strong in this, and I'm sure Indonesian academic libraries are just as strong in these open access initiatives. So open your collection out open your collection up so that people can have access to the collection. Okay, I'm running out of time, I think. Let me go very quickly. This one is you map your library activities, yeah? You have a library activity, you map it to which SDG, map it. You do work with an NGO outside. So which SDG is it related to? And then you produce a report. This is a report by the Council of Australian University Libraries. What they do is every year, they ask all academic libraries to map their library activities to the SDGs. And from there, they produce a report which they give to the government. So the government of Australia sees that the Australian public academic libraries are very active in promoting SDGs. Okay, this is one. The other one is this library map of the world. Like I said, you can invite people from IFLA to actually do a webinar to actually teach you how to write stories and how to include your stories. Yeah, one is in the IFLA Library Map of the World, and the other one is in the IFLA Asia Oceania Regional Newsletter. So far, we have got no stories from Indonesia. We only have one story from Malaysia, Alhamdulillah, and that was last year after we tried so hard to get one. Singapore, we have got 2, I think, and Philippines, we have got 1. So those are the only countries that have got 3 countries from ASEAN that has got an SDG story. So please, Indonesian librarians, if you need help with this one, you can get in touch with me. I can get in touch with IFLA, and I can arrange for an IFLA person to actually tell you how to write the stories, because there's a way that you have to write it. And they will do, you just provide the details, they will do the entire writing for you, okay? But they will tell you what are the details that they require. So the other one, this is the one that we are doing, University of Malaya is doing. They are translating their Jawi manuscript to Rumi, and this is, they tie into SDG 11, preservation, not of the Malay manuscript so much, preservation of the Jawi script, because the Jawi script is a script that is, people are not really reading, yeah, the younger generation can read, but perkataan Melayunya merangkak, they are crawling when they read as compared to us, the old ones, yeah. So Library is doing SDGs 11. It's not about the manuscript, it's about the script, the Jawi script. So they published this in the regional newsletter, so it got coverage. Okay, so now people know that, oh, Library is also actively supporting SDG, is also supporting the university. So how is PPM supporting? Yeah, just give me a few minutes to finish this up. PPM is Persatuan Pustakawan Malaysia, established in 6 June 1995 as Malayan Library Group. We went through several name changes. If you are aware of Malaysia's history, we were part of Singapore, and then Singapore left us, and Sabah came in, Sarawak came in. We had so many changes before we finally settled on the nama Malaysia. So we also went through several changes, and then we settled on the name Persatuan Pustakawan Malaysia, Librarians Association of Malaysia, but we never used the English name. We are always known by our Malay name, PPM. Okay, and only in 2020 we began actively promoting SDGs. Yeah, but whilst we were promoting, we had the MCO, so everything went online. So what we have done so far, we promote the importance of SDGs to the libraries and to the librarians, so that the librarians can bring it down to their lower community, and we try to create awareness. So once our members are aware, then they will do the necessary thing to help the organization. So we had a workshop in January. We invited an IFLA governing board member to actually talk to us, and I was the facilitator for the workshop on the SDG stories, because I'm quite familiar with how you are supposed to write it. Then this is the workshop that was held before our COVID, our movement control order, or the MCO, in March of 2020, yeah, March 2020. So I've been giving talks to a lot of universities about this. So this is one that I gave to a group of chief librarians of public academic universities in Malaysia, talking about how library leaders can support SDG. Then this is the lady I call, Christine Parbeza Remiresa. So if Indonesian librarians, UI or Ikatan Pustakawan Indonesia wants to call her, please get in touch with me. We can do a webinar, and she actually teaches how to write the stories. So November 2021, she taught us how to write the stories. We submitted 5 stories, but our stories semua tak lepas. It did not make the grade because we were lacking. So after she gave us reasons why our stories were not accepted, we expanded, and finally one got accepted. Okay, the one here. This is the one that we got accepted. It's Reading Seed program, and is related to SDG 4 and 17. Okay, partnership, because this particular project partnered with the Ministry of Health and also with the Ministry of Education. And quality education, this project is about reading, giving books to babies, mothers who just gave birth, with books for them to guide their babies to read from as early as childhood right until they go to school. So we managed to get this one in. So that's the only one we have so far. And we also compile data. I think Indonesia is doing this as well. I do not know who is compiling the data for Indonesia, but PPM, through Ms. Chin, who is the secretary for the Management of Library Association of IFLA for Malaysia, she compiles all the data. But if you can see here, it's still lacking, yeah. A lot of data we don't have. Our latest data is 2020, is for National Library. As for school libraries, our data is 2017. It needs cleaning up. It's quite difficult to get data from every ministry, because all these data are kept by ministries, and we have to approach individual ministries for the data. With the National Library, it was easier. It's a one-stop center. We go to the National Library and they give the data. With academic libraries also, it's a bit difficult. We've got 20 academic libraries, so we need to get in touch with each and every one of them to make sure that the data is clean. Okay. And the other one is we had a competition. Okay, this is something that Indonesian libraries can do. Probably this is the this is the Standing Committee of Academic Libraries and the library from UPSI. UPSI is a university in Perak. a public university. So they held a competition, and the competition must be about a project that is related to 3 SDGs, and SDG 17 partnership is mandatory. So I think they presented, and I watched the presentation online. Everything was done online. And I think they have already identified the winners. The first one is a project that involves producing braille material for school children who are visually impaired in Johor. The second project that won was about manuscript, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So these are things that you can do. And then again, why am I always called? Because I am the IFLA Regional Division Committee Asia Oceania. And this particular committee is heavily involved in promoting SDG for ASEAN. So I get invited to a lot of these talks. Yeah. So all I do is I talk about what SDG, like what I'm doing with you right now. So tomorrow, on the 23rd of June, we are going to have again Miss Christine, who is going to talk about SDG stories. And then we have someone from Indonesia. Yeah, he's going to talk about Gunung Kidul, the Gunung Kidul Community Project, because Gunung Kidul Community Project has been presented by Dwi Fitrina and Dr. Ida, Pak Ida, yeah, at 2 of our conferences. So I think this is a very good project that's related to the SDGs. It's in Indonesia. So it's free. You just need to scan the QR code, and you can come. So it's about, I think it's about 3:30 p.m. tomorrow. That will be 2:30 p.m. Your time. So so in conclusion, yeah, Indonesia, Malaysia has accepted or adopted the agenda. And when we look at it, kita tengok balik, nobody is going to lose out, because it is to make the world a better place. Okay. And there are many ways academic libraries can support the university. So if you want to know what to do, if you are like clueless, what do I do? What am I supposed to do? How can I start? Look at what other countries are doing. You don't have to be thinking about what you're supposed to do. Find out what others are doing globally, and you can copy. It's not wrong to copy. There are good examples of initiatives being done in Australia. I pick Australia because that's the nearest to us. So if you want to visit, yeah, we can just pay some money, get on a plane and go to Australia. It's not like a 14-hour journey. It could be about 6 or 7 hours. And then you work with your respective library association. University libraries in Indonesia can work with Ikatan Pustakawan Indonesia. And I think they would have, if I'm not mistaken, need to check, probably mungkin ada jawatan kuasa or a group or a committee that looks at academic libraries. Okay, so work with them because SDG, you cannot work in silo. You cannot work by yourself like that. You have to network. You have to go out. You can even work with Malaysia. Okay, and work with the Regional Division Committee of Asia Oceania of IFLA. I think Philippines is salah je. In Indonesia, diwakili oleh Ibu Labibah Zain daripada UIN Sunan Kalijaga. She is she won the election to be a member of Ratkau. Malaysia, it's me. Philippines, we have Miss Elvira from National Library of Singapore, Philippines. And Singapore, we have got Jean Tan from the National Library of Singapore. So 4 out of 10 ASEAN countries are represented, and the 4 of us are working very hard to make sure that all ASEAN countries are represented in the library map of the world and have an SDG story published so that the world knows that we are supporting SDGs. Okay. So what does this mean? When we are in SDG, what does it mean? Is it something that we do just for the fun of it? Is it something that is just a spur of the moment? No. Being active in SDG means it will give libraries and librarians the visibility. People know that libraries and librarians are doing something, and you are visible not only in Indonesia, also in ASEAN, in Asia, and the world. Okay. So these are some of the references that I referred to. So the slides are with the committee. So thank you very much. I think I overshot a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nur Ezan. for sharing about initiative that libraries can take in the perspective of achieving SDGs, right? And the next one to speak is Dr. Shiranti. She will tell us more about library strategy to develop programs to support the perspective of achieving SDGs. Good morning, Dr. Shiranti.
Good morning to you all.
Good morning. Okay.
Yeah.
We will move.
Yeah. Shall I share my screen?
Sure. You have 30 minutes for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see the slide.
Okay. Just a second. Yeah. Good morning to you all. I am Chiranti Vijayasundara, representing University of Colombo, Sri Lanka. I am working as a senior assistant librarian attached to the Library of University of Colombo, and currently I am working as a visiting lecturer at the National Institute of Library and Information Science. So that's who am I. And first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Rami and Ms. Nurintan for inviting me for this session. Actually, I am so happy to get involved in this session, especially in another country. When Dr. Rami asked me to do this, I was having certain thoughts whether I'm going to do this session, actually, because I am from some other discipline. My main disciplines are completely different from this, but still I thought it's a good chance to learn this and also to get others' ideas and views, especially Indonesian experience. So then I accept the challenge. So here I am today. So our topic is the role of academic libraries in the Sustainable Development Goals. I think Dr. Ganita and Dr. Nasir explained extensively about SDG goals and how they involved in Indonesian context. I have overview something like this. What are SDGs? Initiatives by professional library associations. Role of libraries when implementing SDGs. Initiatives in ASEAN region. Some initiatives related to Sri Lankan academic library. So this is what I am going to talk today. So let's see what are SDGs. Actually, the first speaker explained well about all the goals, 17 goals. So I'm not going to explain it extensively. So basically the starting of SDGs goes back to 2015. Before that, the UN had something called Millennium Goals. Millennium Development Goals, that is from 2000 to 2015. So after 2015 to 30, they have proposed this Sustainable Development Goals, which is a blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet. So it is for both developed and developing countries. So under that, they propose 17 goals actually. So each and every organization can adopt these goals and create their plans to achieve these goals. So I think these goals are basically related to the situations in the world today, like many countries are facing poverty and then environmental problems, and then some other things like energy, the renewable energy things, and gender equality like that. So these are the topics we are usually hearing these days. So through sustainable development goals, they are trying to address these things. So that is the introduction about the SDGs. And then, as I said, I'm not going to explain each and every goal, but I would like to emphasize more on this academic library setting. Before going into the academic library setting, first we have to understand what are the initiatives taken by other, top associations or top organizations to achieve these goals. So first thing comes into our mind is IFLA. Actually, Dr. Nasir explains very well about IFLA initiatives. So sometimes the things might be overlap. So I'm sorry about that. Anyway, so the IFLA has several meetings, and during one of the meeting, 10th meeting, they were giving some clues about the sustainable development goals based on access to information, that term. And in that session, they were addressing about the public right to information, access to right information and government data, increased transparency of public budgets, open access, improved media and information literary skills. Likewise, they have given certain, they were discussing certain aspects. So likewise, you can find many meetings and some document related to these meetings by IFLA. Then, other than this, I think the Dr. Nasir also mentioned this, the 2030 agenda by IFLA. That is a really well comprehensive document, I can say. And also in the there's a separate place given by IFLA to collect all the news, events, publications around the world related to SDG. So if you go to this website, you can find all the information and resources related to the SDGs, SDG initiatives around the world. So you can find all sorts of initiatives. It can be from public libraries, academic libraries, school libraries, etc. So the third one is library map, IFLA library world map. That is also really interactive thing. I think Dr. Nasir showed earlier. So each and every country post their stories related to SDG in this map. It's an interactive map actually. So anybody can post these stories based on a format actually. That details are also you can find from the IFLA website, and probably you can contact easily Dr. Nasir and get some information. When I was searching about SDG, I come across with this IFLA library map thing. So I also found it really interesting. So if you are trying to adapt these SDGs, I recommend you to go through these resources actually. So this is about IFLA initiatives related to SDG. Then the next one is ALA. I think you know what is ALA, American Library Association. So ALA Task Force on United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goals is another initiative by ALA that is for North American region actually, but still we can get some idea from these initiatives as well. So according to ALA, they have defined all goals based on for academic libraries like this. So for example, So if you take number 3, good health and well-being program, wellness events and yoga, stress relief during any event, fitness sessions, therapy. So libraries can adapt these things, or they can be a host for these kind of events. And then gender and equality, if you take library as a safe place regardless of gender orientation, place physical cards and digital signatures, adaptation of gender neutral restrooms. Likewise, libraries can give some space for people without having any discrimination. Likewise, ALA gives, they try to map these goals into the library activities like this. So if you go to ALA website, SDG chapter, you can find all these things. So this is basically for academic libraries. So I don't think we can use all these things in our settings because our culture, economic and social situations are different, but still we can use some of the things. Then other than ALA, of course, you may know about SciLib, UK Library and Information Science Association. They also have some, they have a portal actually, SciLib, SDG and SDGs timeline actually. So in that if you go to that website, you can find so many resources related to SDGs, basically Europe and other countries. So likewise, you can find many different organizations related to library and information science have created many resources and activities to help realize SDG goals. So now I would like to go to the main topic of our today's webinar actually, role of libraries when implementing SDGs. Our main target is academic libraries. So if you take academic libraries, it is an essential and crucial component in the university teaching learning process. That is something you know, because a library cannot be separated from the parent institution when it comes to academic library especially. So and also, if you take Asian universities, they are currently planning and gradually trying to implement these their strategies, activities targeting SDG goals. How can the libraries contribute to the performance of their parent institutions? One of the main things that we have to think when targeting these goals, because we cannot it's not good to create our own strategies without addressing the parent institution's strategic plan. So we should well understand what is parents institutions strategies and how they have addressed SDG goals. So that is one thing. So we can say that the goals of academic libraries must align with the goals of their parents' institutions. So that is a crucial point. Then if you take SDG goals, you have 17 goals. Before I explain this slide, I will tell you a story. Actually, my librarian asked a few of us to, we have something called SDG and you have to find out how we can support these goals. as the library. So this was told in 2020, as I remember. So at that time, I was aware about what is SDG, but all of a sudden, we were wondering how we can use these to libraries, because it has something to do with poverty, water, then innovation, then likewise so many different. So we thought, okay, library can be support on for the goal is quality. Then we wrote a report to the librarian stating that okay, goal 4 is the most important thing, and of course some other thing can be addressed by certain other activities. So that was our conclusion by that time. But after some time, we realized that there are so many other initiatives by other countries, and sometimes all the goals can be achieved in certain ways. However, mainly if you take a library or academic library, we can directly use 9 SDG goals listed down, right? So for example, if you take goal 1, just give me a second. I will describe here and there actually. So if I take goal 3, health, providing health information related the information to the users can be done by the library. So for example, during the pandemic time, COVID situation, many people were looking at our website and trying to get some information. So libraries played a major role when posting COVID-related information, and some institutions get together with libraries and created applications which can be used to get some information related to COVID, the areas, the statistics likewise. So the library was a key organization at that time when providing information related to health, and also certain health related information, like other than the COVID situation, we can say women health, something children health. So we can conduct webinars or some workshops from libraries. So that way we can address goal 3. And of course, goal 4 is the easiest one, because we are always doing various things to uplift the quality education. So as a library, as an academic library, we are always trying to help researchers, students by providing better information and providing different services to develop their research skills, maybe, and also providing them places to store their research related publications. So likewise, we are always trying to uplift the education. So quality education is the major goal I can see in this SDG. And for example, if you take goal 5, gender equality, we should conduct programs on empowering women, and also we can engage actively for policy making activities related to certain things of gender equality. And also as a library, we should respect everybody regard of the gender. So those things can be done as an institution and as a library. And then goal 9, if you take innovation and infrastructure, of course, as a library, we can improve our infrastructure in ICT facilities, because nowadays we have so many innovations, and also when it goes because of the new normal situations, now the normal teaching learning patterns change and the people started doing online teaching. So for those things, these innovative ICT technologies are really important, and libraries plays the major role of implementing and maintaining this infrastructure and services. So likewise, you can see this mainly these 9 SDG goals can be directly integrated into the library system. So if you take these 9 goals, you can find the terms information, lifelong learning, online platform, access to information, which are closely related to libraries. However, some SDG goals are kind of interrelated. For example, if you take SDG 1, no poverty, SDG 2, zero hunger, they are connected. So likewise, if you take other goals also, they have some connection. So we cannot sometimes completely ignore this, because the connection is there. Somehow, if libraries are going to adopt SDGs into their strategic plan, as I said earlier, they should rethink about certain things, like how they can support institutions' mission. Because as academic library, it's not like a public library. We cannot do what we want, because we always have to get approval for certain things from the main institution, parent institution. So, and also we are trying to do whatever the things according to the parent institution's mission and vision. So even if we are trying to adapt SDG goals, we have to do it according to the institution's mission. And increasing literacy, that is what we are always doing. So I don't need to explain it much. And also transforming nations through knowledge. It's about information dissemination and awareness things. Promoting peace, social harmony, and social cohesion. Bridging the digital divide, because digital divide is a main issue these days, because there are people who have so many ICT facilities, but some they don't have proper facilities or knowledge. So we should work as a bridge to fill the gap. So library is a main person when it comes to bridging the digital divide, and reducing social and gender inequalities, accessing academic libraries, that means connecting other libraries, contributing to university ranking. That is also something we are always doing. We are trying to uplift the ranking by various things, by adding links, then adding resources to repositories likewise. So we have to rethink about these main things, and we have to have a proper plan. Then when it comes to starting, when we address SDGs, library can do many things. So the first speaker, Mrs. Ganita, explains very well how all these SDG goals that UI libraries have achieved. That is really impressive, actually. So as a library, we can do it in various ways. But the only thing is we should have a proper mechanism to map whatever the activities to these SDG goals. So without that, it won't show any it won't show that it is aligned with SDGs. As I understand, even Dr. Nazir also pointing out, as academic libraries, what is our contribution to the SDGs? Actually, it is not visible sometimes. So, as I said, we should have a proper strategic plan first, connected to the parent institution. So somehow, when it comes to SDGs, library can have do different activities, different programs. First thing is they have to increase knowledge sharing by developing knowledge hub, information, and that's the main thing. They can have various repositories, OPACs for knowledge dissemination, and also some other databases which can be accessed remotely, and also providing facilities and services. So these facilities and services, if you take academic library, you provide extensive services sometimes. It can be a small thing like giving drinking water for the users, or having a cafeteria. So they are aligned with, you can align them with SDGs. So that is a very small example actually. Then other facilities like giving some help for like needy students, like if you want to, if there's a laptop providing service, we can provide laptops for the students for a short time. So likewise, you can provide various services and facilities for the users. Then outreach programs are another interesting and a very good thing to give awareness and other things. Like I said earlier, provide information on health, then provide information on other subject areas, and also recently, not recently, like few years back, we started a program called Human Library. So I think maybe you have heard about this. So in that event, we invite some expertise to the library and we have discussions. Previously, we had it like face-to-face session, but due to the pandemic situation, now sometimes we hold it as an online session. But when you have face-to-face session, of course, you see the expert face-to-face and you get the chance to talk with them directly. So students and also the teachers both involved in this kind of session. And if we expand this, we can go outside the university and talk to our partner, general public as well, but that is depend on the institution. And also introducing innovative technologies like 3D printing, video editing, digital walls, interactive technologies like virtual reality, or some other things you can incorporate. And also improving smart library concept to uplift ICT facilities. This is also really important. If you are thinking about quality education, quality research, uplifting ICT facilities is really, really important. But on the other hand, like countries like developing countries, Asian countries, we face socio-economic problems always. So we have some problems of purchasing certain things because of the resources, limitations of the resources, funding. But somehow, if we uplift these things, only we can get the maximum advantage. And of course, then only we can give the maximum service. So that is one thing. And improving the search visibility is another thing. Search visibility can be improved by incorporating various technological things into your databases, or maybe into your website, or maybe some other ways. So that is another strategy. And supporting research process of the teachers and the students is another very important point, because that is a kind of main target that academic libraries are addressing actually. So for researchers, sometimes libraries conduct some workshops on like, for example, some workshop on plagiarism, about predatory journals, how to identify predatory journals. Likewise, we can help the researchers, and student-wise, we can always conduct literacy programs, various other workshops like academic writing, referencing, and maybe finding literature likewise, and also mini programs like soft skills. So likewise, we can help both teachers and the students in numerous ways. That is supporting, and also we can provide expert expert service for the researchers by providing quality information and helping them with search facilities likewise. Then of course, providing more blended learning, teaching learning facilities is really important. As I said, now we are mostly doing our work online. So if we don't give facilities for this online teaching learning, it is not a good thing. So when it comes to blended learning things, you have to work with more sophisticated ICT technologies and some many aspects. So somehow if we can facilitate these things, it's a good thing for the students actually, and the teachers, so they don't need to actually come to the classroom. They can do whatever their lessons remotely, and the student can easily grab what they want. So conducting interactive discussions like what I said, human library concept, is another thing. So we can give awareness about certain things. Then involve community outreach programs is another thing when it comes to achieving SDGs. Actually, this community outreach, it's a kind of difficult thing when it comes to academic library, because sometimes we cannot go for such things without the permission of the parent institution. But somehow we can convince the institution that this is important for if we want to incorporate SDGs. For example, we can start it from small scale. If we have discard like books which we don't want anymore, we can do book donations for needy places actually, and also we can conduct mobile library services for maybe elders home, children home, or maybe rural areas. Actually, some of the Sri Lankan libraries are currently doing such services. And of course, communicate and advocate the SDGs. Advocate for SDGs is another thing. As a library, of course, we are always trying to aware people on various things. So likewise, we can do this for SDGs as well. So, so this way we can achieve SDGs in various ways. So like I said, all 17 goals can be achieved by various activities. Somehow, first we should have a proper plan. So at the same time, I thought of giving some insight about the Asian region. So I got some detail from the IFLA library map. And this example is from India. It's from Ashoka University. It's about mobile library service in the region. And another example from it's also academic library attached to an institution. They are trying to like disseminate their research information through some system. So likewise, you can find many examples, but as Dr. Nazir said, for Asian region, the South Asia, there are very few examples. And this example is from Thailand, actually. This I took from the IFLA website. And this is something to do with Go Green. So they were talking about how the library can be involved in green concept, actually, which is very, how can I say, very hot topic these days, actually. So this is also really interesting story. So public library has some initiatives. So in the IFLA, you will find only development, actually. So likewise, you can find many examples around the world. So if you take Sri Sustainable Development Act 19 in 2017 provide a legal framework for implementing this. But after that, University Grants Commission, which is the main organization, focuses many areas of UN SDGs in their strategic plan. So most of the universities, state universities and some other universities are using this strategic plan when they are creating their own strategic plan. So it is already there. And also some universities are adapting SDGs into their systems in various scales. But when it comes to academic libraries, it's still a handful of universities only. So here I have mentioned University of Kelaniya and University of Sri Jayawardenepura as some main institutions, and especially University of Kelaniya Library is doing some initiatives related to sustainable development goals. So next slide, you can see the University of Kelaniya Library, how they trying to achieve the SDGs. So if you go to the website, you can get some information. And also they have something called Center for Sustainability Solutions. So that is also something to do with SDG. So likewise, some universities, state universities have some initiatives in Sri Lankan setting. The academic libraries can plan and implement specific services and programs related to their parent bodies' statement of intent on SDGs. Even though many of the universities conduct various related, they do not seem to be based on a formulated strategic plan or mapping. So that is one issue, actually. We as academics, as academic libraries and librarians, we always do certain things, activities, but not knowing they can be mapped to SDGs. This is due to a lack of strategic plan, I think. So for example, this is Open University Lanka. They have some green policy concept, and also libraries also adhering to this green concept, and they are always conducting awareness programs and some other practical sessions on planting trees and some other aspects based on this green policy things. So that is one example. Then this is my university, University of Colombo. Actually, University of Colombo already have they have adapted SDG, but unfortunately, library still trying to create our incorporate SDG into our strategic plan. So it's still under development actually. Somehow, as I said, we always conduct webinars, some other events, everything, which is not mapped to SDG still. And recently, and this one is a helpline that we have created during the COVID season because we couldn't go to the university. We should provide services somehow. So we asked student staff to request whatever the help they need from the library by giving some online forms. This is actually still used by some of the students, and it was really helpful. Then this initiative is called Smart Classroom, which goes with the ICT facility infrastructure. This is a very comprehensive classroom for blended learning actually. So it's a very sophisticated facility, I can say, and it also has a robot, small robot to involved in the teaching process, which is really interactive. So likewise, our library is trying to do various things related to SDG, but we are still trying to map these things into SDG. Then, of course, universities have this quality assurance units. If you take the UGC, they have some terms and conditions about quality assurance. The main thing do by the quality assurance is they are the people who are checking all the things, policies, the syllabuses, and whatever the legal documents. So each of these things should go through the university's quality assurance first, quality assurance unit actually. Then if they approve only, we can submit it to the UGC. So likewise, they are trying to give some quality to their program. So this kind of quality is really important when we are trying to address education. So likewise, I can give this. I showed you this example. Universities are trying to do certain things, but directly addressing the SDG, somehow it can be done easily. So before I conclude this session, I thought of including some personal thoughts on SDG. So academic libraries in the region is already adopting SDGs in different scales, quantities, and some are not directly mapped with the SDGs. So they are indirectly doing various things. However, libraries should have a clear plan on what SDGs are they are going to achieve through their activities. That should be well thought. Therefore, academic libraries should first investigate their institutional strategic plan to identify their institution goals and objectives. Sometimes achieving SDG is not practical due to various socio-economic situations in the country. Maybe institution itself give some barriers to libraries when we are trying to achieve certain goals. However, we can start it from the scratch, right, and develop further in due course. So if we the countries are always facing real different difficult situations, but still we can initiate whatever the activities and map them with the SDGs. So that is my thoughts on SDG. Then, of course, again, Dr. Nazir mentioned about this upcoming webinar on IFLA. When I was searching certain things on IFLA, I come across with this event. So I thought of sharing it with you all. So this event is on 23rd, actually. I think it's really important for Asian libraries and how Asian libraries can use Sustainable Development Goals. So probably if you have time, you can join this event. So this is about SDGs in Sri Lanka and some SDG. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shiranti. There was a very inspiring presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we will move to the last speaker from Universitas Indonesia, Mr. Wisnu Yuwono, SA Master of International Affairs, PhD, Head of Transformation, Risk Management and Monitoring Evaluation Bureau, Universitas Indonesia. Now, please welcome Mr. Wisnu.
Okay, thank you so much, Mbak Muti. Everyone, it's an honor for me to be able to be one of the speakers in this distinguished event. Could you share slides, my slides, please? Please share slides, my slides.
Okay, wait, the committee, please share the slide. Maybe can help. Thank you so much, Ms. Tiwi. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. So, next slides. Please, next slides. Okay, I am Head of Transformation, Risk Management and Evaluation Monitoring Bureau. It's a new unit that is established in University of Indonesia. One of the main tasks is to coordinate the mobilization of ranking data, including the THE impact ranking, which closely related to sustainable development goals. Okay, this is my background, my education background, and I'm also currently as an assistant professor in public administration at the Faculty of Administrative Science at UI. Next slides. Yeah, this is we already explained about the Transformation, Risk Management and Evaluation Monitoring Bureau. So there's a dedicated ranking unit that coordinate the mobilization of data ranking, including THE impact ranking. So in this occasion, I will outline more about the SDGs achievement by University of Indonesia. Next slides. Okay, so actually, in order to achieve a sustainable development goals, University of Indonesia has participated in a number of ranking related to SDGs. Yeah, as I mentioned before about THE Impact Ranking, which emphasis on 4 broad areas, which is research, stewardship, outreach, and teaching, and also the Green Metric, yeah, by University of Indonesia itself, which focusing on the metrics of sustainable campus, yeah, including energy and climate change, waste, water sanitation, transportation, and education. Next slides. So if you see at the metrics of THE Impact Ranking, Indonesia has successfully improved its ranking, yeah, from 85 in 2021 to 18 in 2022. And we are achieving the highest SDGs is including in no poverty SDGs, which is SDGs 1, and also gender equality as well, yeah. But today we're going to talk about more on SDGs 11 and SDGs 4, which is 2 SDGs that are highly tied to the role of the academic library. Next slides. So in terms of SDGs 11, which is focusing on sustainability, cities and communities, yeah, which is essentially focusing on services, energy, housing, transportation, green public space while reducing resource use and environmental impact. So as you can see in the SDGs 11, the trend is, as you can see in the slides, yeah. So in SDGs 11, actually, some of the couple of indicators, there are trend that is increasing, while there's a trend that is down as well, yeah. For example, expenditure on arts and heritage, yeah. In terms of activities, yeah, in SDGs 11, Universitas Indonesia is focusing on providing library public access service, yeah, improving quality of sustainability public access to science through books, texts in library or the library website. So we already have a new library which is established in around 2009 or 2010, yeah, which is known as the Crystal Knowledge, yeah. While also we have a couple of libraries that is stationed in number of faculties, including Faculty of Medicine, Faculty of Political and Science, Faculty of Public Health, Faculty of Computer Science. And each library is a public space open to UI academic community and of course to the general public. As you can see, we also have a Lontar database, yeah, and also the website on a library at UI. Next slides. As you can see, I would welcome especially the speakers from abroad if you have a chance to come to UI. We have a very beautiful building, yeah, but also structure in a sustainable and environmentally friendly concept, yeah, by for example, by lighting buildings that use natural light And this practice, of course, to reduce energy consumption and supports energy efficiency. And also, if you have a chance to visit our campus, UI has urban forest and green areas in its campus, which is the total area around 1.4 million meters square, or 50.38% of the campus area. And also, UI has a various parks with variety of plants planted regularly, such as Firdaus Park and Linker Park in the UI library, which is free and open to public. Next slide. If you see as SDGs 4, which is directly related to library, of course, library is supporting increasing the quality of education. If we can see the data definition of SDGs 4 is to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education, while it supports lifelong learning opportunities for all, because education is the main gateway out of inequality, and also it can help equip locals with tools needed to develop innovative solutions to the world's greatest problem. As you can see in the trend, there's another indicator that is increasing in terms of SDGs 3, while there's also that is decreasing. For example, that is increasing is life learning measures, while that is decreasing is proportion of the first generation students, as well as research on SDGs 4. Next slides. In terms of SDG 4 achievement, especially during the pandemic, there are surveys to pay attention that is provided by UI library. So it supports distance learning, which is UI library provide access to digital collection for its members, which is 70% of UI library collection now are available in digital format, which can be accessed virtually through its website, which is lib.ui.acid, and remote access remotelib.ui.acid, which is access to 50 online databases, the latest academic journals. So I'm as a assistant professor, I'm also pushing my students to use the remote access library, because we have latest updated prestigious academic journals. Next slides. As you can see, during the pandemic, there's a number of online membership activation services, circulation service desk, online literature search services. So University of Indonesia Library is really responding to the difficult situation by pushing for digitalization of its service. So this is what UI was trying to do. And also, we also extensively provide virtual information literacy training for lecturers, students, librarians. For example, like university literacy and research integrity service training, which UI Library has held around 94 information literacy and research training, which is attended by around 7,692 participants. So information literacy training is a training activity that emphasizes the strategy of seeking information from various resources in library, so it can be more effective, efficient, and ethical manner. And also, we also provide online information literacy, and research integrity service for our new students, so that I can help improve student soft skill in meeting information, which include identifying information needs, finding source of information, evaluating and utilize information effectively. So information material is applied in new students orientation, which is yearly. Yeah. Okay, next slides. What is the challenge for universities in Indonesia in sustainable development? Is because University of Indonesia already responding to that challenge by creating an open courseware and open videos. Yeah, and UI Library is also supporting those initiatives by opening access to the library's resources, especially electronic collections, yeah, to the public. And also UI Library has created a course about literacy skills that can be accessed anytime by anyone, especially to meet SDGs 4 and SDGs 11. So looking for reference is the highest purpose of visiting UI Library in 2016 and 2019. And UI Library also in terms of energy use, trying to reduce energy consumption for users, yeah, commuting by advancing their online references service. And also University of Indonesia actively contributes art and heritage via the units of student activities and cultural activities. Yeah. However, UI Library has a challenge in actively promoting, documenting, and preserving those contributions by digitalization. So the contribution could create impact longer time, especially to meet SDGs 11. Next slides. So in terms of library has, of course, we want to improve better in the future by providing facilities and service for persons with disabilities. For example, library should provide toilets for people with disabilities and clear and easy to read direction. And of course, in other hand, library staff should have been training to assess a visitor with disabilities to meet the SDGs 4 and SDGs 10. So aside from a collection room, UI Library can maximize its implementation of sustainable practice by using natural light in library light buildings with the hope to reducing energy consumption and promoting energy efficiency, which is also to meet SDGs 11. Next slides. Okay, I think that will be the end of my presentation, and thank you so much for the opportunity again for the host. Give it back to the moderator.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vishnu, for sharing strategies and initiatives carried out by universities, especially academic libraries, in the perspective of achieving SDGs. Okay, all right, everyone. That was our last presentation of the session. It's time for a question and answer session. We have 30 minutes for question and answer, and I see some of you have already submitted your question on the Slido link. So the first question from Asden Purwanto: why are the Sustainable Development Goals so broad compared to the very specific Millennium Development Goals? Maybe this question, I think, for Dr. Nur Ezan. I heard about Millennium Development Goals first from Dr. Nur Ezan, right?
I think it was Dita.
Okay, Mbak Dita, maybe could you answer this question?
Okay, thank you, Mbak Mutia. So maybe I will try to answer a question from Pa Asdin. So as we mentioned before, the SDGs expanded its scope to 17 goals from the 8 goals of the MDGs. And obviously, there are some goals that were in the MDGs that are still present in the SDGs now. But the difference is maybe in the SDGs we have more goals related to sustainability, while in the MDGs we only have one about the environmental sustainability. This could be maybe because of the shift of focus of the SDGs, where the UN recognized to maintain environmental sustainability, and it is important to maintain that to maintain economic growth as well. It has to go hand in hand. Also, the SDGs has a broader scope, while the MDGs are only for developing countries. The SDGs are including developed and developing countries as well. Also, the formulation of the SDGs involved more stakeholders than the MDGs. So the SDGs involve all the UN member states and also other stakeholders as well. I hope that answers your question, Pa Asdin. Thank you.
I think a moderator, maybe I can add on. I think when I looked at Mbak Dita's slide tadi, she showed that MDG ada very few, limited, and SDG was more. And then in her slide, she showed that in the MDG, a lot of components were lumped together. And probably people might miss it. So I think with the SDG, all the small components that was lumped in the MDG all came out as individual SDGs. So you see 17 altogether. But when you look at her slide on the MDG, you can see that those components are already in the MDG, but it's all layered and hidden. But the SDG, they pull everything out, so they came out with 17. That was what I saw from her slide, and I concluded as such. That was new knowledge for me, but Dita, because I did not know about the MDG until I saw your slide.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Dita and Dr. Nur Ezan. Maybe Mr. Vishnu or Dr. Shiranti wanna add answer for the question?
Hello.
Hello. Yes.
Yes. Actually, I think the Sustainable Development Goals, I think I mentioned this. They have 17. So also these things are based on the current trends in the world. So and also they are connected, interrelated. So even though you see it as 17 goals, sometimes you don't remember them, and it's kind of headache to keep them, memorize them. But still, if you closely observe these things, they have some interconnection. So I think that's the nature of these SDG goals. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shiranti. Maybe Mr. Vishnu wanna add an answer? Okay.
Moderator,
yes.
Mutia, and if you look, Miss Dita just now presented the Indonesian, the way Indonesian does the pillars. So Indonesia had 4 pillars, and in all the 4 pillars, you see them putting a lot of SDGs together. So the 17 SDGs became 4 pillars from Indonesia, and for Malaysia, it became 5 working groups. So you see, even at the country level, there's still a tendency for our government to make it smaller. So it's coming into something like the Millennium MDG. MDG only had 8, I think, Ms. Dita. So now Indonesia has got 4 pillars where they lump everything together under certain pillars, environmental, etc., etc. And Malaysia also only had 5 working groups, because I think to be working with, because like Dr. Chinrati says, there are a lot of SDGs are interrelated, like water, above water, below water, that's related. Clean water also related. So I think I agree with Dr. Chinrati. A lot of SDGs are interrelated. That's why there's a tendency for countries to lump it together as smaller components actually.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Nur Ezan, Ms. Dita, and Dr. Shiranti. And we will move to the next question. Okay. We have question from Dini Amelia. I think this is for Dr. Nur Ezan, because the question about Malaysia Library. What factors can prevent sustainability policy from being successfully implemented in Malaysia Library?
Okay, I fall back on what Dr. Chiranti said just now. She made it very clear that in a library, for an academic library, for example, we have to align our goals, mission, strategic plan to the universities. So if the university is very keen on moving forward with SDGs, sustainable policies, then the library, there is nothing to stop the library from successfully implementing all the policies that are in place. Unless there is a situation whereby the university itself is not going forward with those policies, then it's quite difficult for the university library to move forward if they don't get the support. And the same thing happens if you are a national library. If your government, for example, the National Library of Malaysia is under the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture. So if the ministry is not moving forward with policies that concern sustainability, then the National Library of Malaysia cannot move forward, because like Dr. Chinrati says, we have to jive, or we have to be in tune with the strategic mission, vision, strategic plans, action plan of our parent institution. So I don't see any reason why sustainability policies cannot move on or continue unless the parent institution is not moving it. Yeah, because at the end of the day, the players who are going to be involved are the libraries and the librarians. Unless the librarians themselves are a bit like apprehensive that they don't want to participate, they see that there's no point in moving, then that could be the factor. But I don't see it as being a factor that will deter Malaysian libraries from implementing good sustainable policies if the parent institution is in the picture together with them. So we need support from each other.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Nur Ezan. We will move to the third question. This is from Arsila Wawan Parawansyah from UNER. This is to Dr. Shiranti Wijasundara. How librarians could help in promoting SDGs? Dr. Shiranti.
Yes, thank you. Actually, I have explained this in my slides. There are various ways of promoting SDGs. But I was always emphasizing about aligning these things into SDGs, whatever the activity you do in the library, you have to align to SDGs, and these SDGs should, as Dr. Nazir said earlier, should go in parallel with the parents' institution strategic plan. So, for example, I was telling about sharing information. So sharing can be done in various ways. So that is only one thing. And also improving research visibility, which is something related to university ranking also. So, for example, researchers, research publications, we should have a separate place to deposit their publication, and also some mechanism to retrieve this information. So this, if they can be openly accessible, it's easy for everybody, which is really good practice. So these things can be aligned with this SDG goals as well, like quality education and all. And also awareness programs, I have mention these things in my slides. So awareness programs can be done in various ways, like for students, for teachers, and also for outside the university. So that is one thing. And also facilitating people. Sometimes academic institution libraries are confined to the students and the teachers only, but if there's a way of getting other people also with some restrictions maybe, that depends on the institution actually. So we can give some services for them as well. So the citizens can get involved in get involving academic libraries in that way, but that is a kind of troublesome thing because we have to get permission most of the time. So as librarians, sometimes we face various difficulties when we try to do certain things with the community actually, because we, as I said, we are not like public libraries or some other libraries. So we have to always seek permission and get approval for this kind of thing. So that's a kind of challenge actually. But on the other hand, we can promote these SDGs in numerous ways, as I mentioned in my slides. So, and also if you want to know more details, you can find a whole lot of information in IFLA website and other websites. So please refer to those resources. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shiranti. And okay, we have another question from Yoka Adam Nugraha. Is there a standard measurement metrics for libraries to calculate SDGs, or does the library only keep track or contribution that are related to the SDGs? Maybe this question for Dr. Vishnu. Could you answer this question?
Okay, thank you so much, Mbak Mutia. I think there's a variety of number of standard metric related to SDGs that I already mentioned, that there is a green metric as well as the Times Higher Education Impact Ranking. But specifically mention about library, I think it's spread over a number of SDGs. Yeah, for example, my presentation, which is focusing on SDGs 4 and SDGs 11, because we think that those two SDGs are related to library. So, but I think this is a good thing, yeah, so that the librarians can know, yeah, the position of each matrix and how it contributes to SDGs, yeah, whether through THI Impact Ranking or through Green Metric. That's my answer.
Mbak Mutia masih di mute.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Maruf. Thank you, Mr. Vishnu, for the answer. We still have a time for Q&A session. We have a question from Reza Muazatul from Perbanas. How student experience distant learning as a part of their information literacy can help the SDGs be achieved effectively? I think this question can be answered by all the speakers. Maybe start from Ms. Dita.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Mutia. Maybe from the perspective of academic librarian, especially reference librarian, students can utilize the reference services in the library for searching for the literature, and then they can do some research that's maybe related to the target of SDG goals. And the librarian can also identify what kinds of research that's research topics that's not being researched enough by the students. For example, on the SDG number 3, good health and well-being, we can see that maybe some topics like sexual health or reproductive health has a little research, because maybe they have to reach a marginalized community for that. And I think we can give, the librarians can give the students some insight into that, and also maybe some insight about what research methods that can you use for reaching the marginalized community, or maybe you don't have to use primary data collection method. You can use the survey data that's relevant to your study. And yeah, that's it. Maybe from the student's perspective, you can utilize the reference services more, and you can contact your university library for that. Okay, that's it from me, Mbak Mutia.
Thank you, Ms. Dita. Dr. Nur Ezan, maybe?
Okay, I'm looking at the, because the question is about distance learning and tying in with information literacy, and looking at how SDGs can be achieved. For this particular component, we'll need to look at the various targets for SDG number 4. And one of the targets that I'm looking at right now is the target 4.6. By 2013, ensure that all youth and a substantial proportion of adults, both men and women, achieve literacy and numeracy. But in this context, in target 4.6, they are talking about literacy as in reading. But if we were to kawinkan, tie it in with information literacy, it means that we will be, if Indonesian, Malaysian, or ASEAN students are information literate. Information literate meaning the ability to search, to recognize the need for information, search for information, use information, generate information, and repackage information, then they are information literate. Which means that if we can produce a generation or generations of information literate citizen, that means we have achieved target 4.6. We are producing generations of students who understand how to use information, who can read, who can write, who can do all this. So when you're looking at this question, we need to look at the individual target. So which target does this particular component addresses? And I'm looking off just very quickly, I'm looking at target 4.6. But there can also be other associated targets that we're looking at, because the targets 4.1 and 4.5 relates to primary and secondary education. The targets, lower targets, relate to tertiary education, university education, technical education, etc., etc. So that would be my response to this. But I think to answer this question properly, we need to actually look at all the targets and see where it fits in. Once we see where it fits in, then we can address what is the SDG that this particular component addresses. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nur Ezan. Dr. Shiranti, maybe you have any question, any answer for this question?
Actually, when it comes to distance learning, and I think this is something to do with the quality and equal education. For example, during the pandemic situation, I said we all went online. So we asked students to participate in their learning process through Zoom, basically. In that situation, we have so some students, because we cannot left behind anybody, so we should give equal opportunities for everybody. But sometimes we have come across various situations, like some part of the country there are internet issues, so they cannot participate in the lesson. So likewise, there were problems, but somehow students, most of the students managed to overcome those problems and participate in the lessons. So because they are competent in that. As a library, we supported them all the time. This is my personal situation actually. And in my institution where I work as a visiting lecturer also, we work with the learning management system. So, and also online teaching facilities. So I think this is a really good practice actually when it comes to giving quality education and equal education to the students, which can be aligned with mainly SDG goal 4. That is the main thing I see in this question actually. I don't know whether I answered it correctly.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Shiranti. Okay, we will move to Mr. Vishnu. Maybe you have an answer for student experience.
Student experience. Yeah, I think especially with the pandemic COVID-19 that that forced us to do online learning, yeah, because of this pandemic situation. I think there's a promise, yeah, that in the end it will accelerate the access of education, yeah. So I think that if provided that the infrastructure, online infrastructure is available, as well as the application that is now widely used is also available, I think there's a promise sign that in the end, those distant learning amplified by digitalization of learning, yeah, in which everyone was forced to do working from home, for instance, then I think the access of education, if it can be used maximally, will be beneficial, yeah, to the society. But of course, there's so many challenges, yeah, to achieve that, yeah. Like the internet access is quite unequal, yeah, especially in the developing and even poor countries. So that challenge must be overcome so that the potential of increasing literacy to distance learning can be optimized. That's my answer.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Vishnu. All right, everyone, now we've come to the end of Q&A session. For the remaining question, we apologize. Unfortunately, we cannot answer all of your questions today, but I believe all of our speakers can be contacted through their email or social media channels. So that is for the question. In the final of 5 minutes, I would like to ask our speakers for their final thoughts. So I will start from Ms. Dita. Maybe you have any final thoughts for our attendees?
Yeah, thank you, Mbak Mutia. Maybe as conclusion, we can see that library, especially academic library, has some roles in supporting the university in achieving the sustainable development goals through providing services, facilities, collections, etc. I think for libraries, by just existing and opening your libraries to public and maybe providing facilities like computer and free Wi-Fi for general public, it could maybe potentially help a little for the achievement of SDGs. They can use it for study, for looking for jobs, or also, we as librarians can have some potential for research on this topic. We can research about our gray literature that we have that maybe has some potentials in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dita. Dr. Nur Ezan, maybe you have any final thoughts?
I think because I'm talking about academic libraries, all academic libraries are in a position to actually support the university's initiatives related to SDGs, all the 17 goals. If we are still rather clueless or we are unsure as how do we go about it for those who have not embarked on this particular journey, please refer to IFLA's stand. I think Dr. Chiranti has stated it so many times. On the IFLA's page, there is a particular document that actually tells us where libraries can help and where libraries can go. And the underlying factor in all the 17 SDGs are a library is the provider of information, keeper of information, etc., etc. Even if you are not directly related to the SDG, we can assist by providing the information needed by researchers to actually work towards no poverty, zero quality education, etc., etc. But academic librarians need to work very closely with the university authorities and university management so that we don't go off tangent. Yeah, the university authority is going along this line and then suddenly we are going along this line. We must be on the same track and we must always be seen to be supporting. We might disagree with some of the things, but to the public, we must be seen to be supporting all the initiatives of the university. Otherwise, we cannot perform as an organization together. So my bottom line is that work together, don't work separately.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Nur Ezan. And we move to Dr. Chiranti. Maybe you have any closing statement? Dr. Chiranti?
Yes, yes. Can you
Okay,
hear me?
yes, we can hear you.
My connection is not very good. Actually, first of all, I would like to thank all the speakers. I also learned many things out of this session. This kind of knowledge do it alone. Try to adapt certain things, but if we don't know what other people are doing, it's not effective. So I would like to thank you all for your great presentations actually. And maybe in future, I might need your help to establish these SDG things in my library as well, because at the university level, we have everything, but in the library settings, as I told, we are doing it indirectly. So we should have a proper plan, as I said. This might be a stepping stone for that. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chiranti. And Mr. Vishnu, maybe you have any closing thought for our attendees?
Thank you so much for the committee for the invitation, and also thank you for the other speakers. I really learned a lot from your presentation. So I think my final thought that, of course, there's so many potential in terms of increasing literacy by optimizing the role of a library, especially through digitalization, which increase the access, especially towards the one that is needed there. But of course, there's also a challenge here. For example, like digital divide, in terms of the quality of infrastructure, especially the internet, especially in the poor countries and developing countries. So with these challenges, I think I agree with Dr. Edzan that the collaboration is the key, especially between the developing countries to maximize its potential, since those developing countries and poor countries, those are the one who in the greatly needs to have this literacy increase but I'm quite optimistic on the future of the digitalization of library, and hopefully it can increase the access of literacy, especially towards the poor. That's my final thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Wisnu. Okay, that was the closing thought from the speaker. Let us give applause to our speakers by giving a reaction on our Zoom menu. And with the closing statement from our speakers, we have reached the end of our session now. On behalf of the webinar committee, I would like to thank Mr. Wisnu, Dr. Nur Ezan, Dr. Chiranti, and Ms. Dita for sharing your knowledge, expertise, and experience with us, and also for coming to Universitas Indonesia, even though virtually. Hopefully, we can have opportunity to build better networking and collaboration with all of you in the future. Okay, now we enter the quiz session. I will invite my friend, Miss Aswina, to guide our quiz today. There will be 5 attractive prizes for 5 winners. So let's start, Miss Aswina.
Okay, thank you, Miss Mutia. Now it's time for quiz. So we would like to invite all participants to join the quiz. I'm sorry for the speakers. Moderator and committee are strictly prohibited to join in this quiz. The quiz is easy. You just choose the best one, which is the right answer. In this quiz, we have 5 souvenirs for the winners. In this quiz, I was helped by my friend, Mr. Muaz. For all the participants, please open your laptop or smartphone or tab or anything else. Please type joinmyquiz.com in your browser and then type the code 405595. I will be waiting until maybe 5 minutes. 3 minutes maybe. So for the participants who haven't joined the quiz yet, please join the quiz. Once again, please type joinmyquiz.com in your browser and then type the code 405595. Okay, we have 5 souvenirs for the winners. We have 9 participants. We need more. Okay, maybe anyone want to join this quiz? The quiz is easy. Just choose the best one, which is the right answer. From maybe 400 participants, we need more than 32. Okay, anyone else? Anyone? Okay, thank you. Maybe we have 40. Enough 40? Enough? Enough or anyone to join? Okay, we have, I will count down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Let's start with Mr. Muaz. Question 1. So please just read your screen. When was SDGs adopted by all UN member states? Is it easy? Dr. Nur Ezan, is it easy, right? The leaderboard, we have Agus Poltekkes. Okay, we move to next question. We have just 10 seconds, okay? How many SDGs goals are there? Very easy, right? We still have some questions, so you still have the chance to be the top 5 winners. So We have 9 seconds again. If you wanna answer, just answer it. Cap chip chup. Okay, we have changed the leaderboard, and we, according to Mas Rofa, library are going to adopt SDGs into their strategic plan. They should rating of the following aspect except just choose. Just choose. Okay, next question. Maybe we have one question again later. So, what is the top subject on good health and well-being in UIANA collection? So, Miss Tita just explained in her material, in her presentation. Okay. This is the last question. So, you still have the chance to be the top 5 winners. And then time's up. Sorry. Okay, we have 5 winners. The highest score achieved by Hijrana. The second position is, I don't know the screen, maybe who? Ivon Navia. The third position is Umar, and the fourth is, I'm sorry, I don't, Maulida and Dini Amelia Witriani. Okay, this is the winners. Thank you for all participants joining this quiz. I hope all of you enjoy this quiz on webinar. We would like to say congratulations for 5 winners. So please contact us by WhatsApp. Use country code Indonesia +62 and then input 8965207-6802 with Miss Intan. We will send the souvenirs for winners. Thank you for your attention and join the quiz. I apologize for all mistakes. We will meet again in the next quiz. See you. I will give back the session to moderator Miss Mutia.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Aswina. Congratulations for our 5 winners, Ivon Nafi, Hijrana, Umar Abdullahi, Maulida, and Dini Amelia. I would also like to announce 3 selected Q&A participants who will get prizes from the UI Library. The selected Q&A participants are Asden Purwanto from Perpustakaan FK Unjani, Arsilah Wawan Parawansyah from Universitas Erlangga, and Yoka Adam Nugraha from ITB Library. To claim your prize, please send a WhatsApp message to Miss Intan within 5 days and confirm your contact information such as name, address, email, and contact number for shipping of the prizes. Okay, I would like to remind for the participant now, don't forget to fulfill the attendance form shown on the screen. Okay. Don't forget to fulfill the attendance form, and the committee will also write down the attendance form on the chat box. Okay, here are the selected Q&A participant and the quiz winner. And this is for the attendance. Okay, maybe the winners wanna screenshot the information. And don't forget to claim your prize. Just send the WhatsApp message to Miss Intan. And don't forget to fulfill the attendance form shown on the screen, and the committee will also write down the attendance form on the chat box. Attendance form can only be accessed until 3 p.m. on Western Indonesia time, and materials and e-certificate will be sent by email maximum 3 days after the webinar. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to inform you that the next agenda is a photo session I will arrange to conduct. All of participants, speakers, and moderator, and the committee are welcome to take a position. Okay, the committee, please be prepared. Mr. Hanafi, we will wait until the host spotlight the speakers.
Okay.
Okay,
Session
hold
I will
on,
start.
Mr. Hanafi.
Okay,
The host.
session I will start. 1, 2, 3. Next. 1, 2, 3. Then 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Hanafi. And ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Universitas Indonesia Library, we would like to say thank you for your active participation today and have a great rest of your day. If you have any question, do not hesitate to contact us via email on pro.lib@ui.ac.id. Thank you for all who support this event, especially iGroup and Sagung Seto. See you on another webinar. I am Mutia Anggraini signing off. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Ya, waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you
Terima
everyone.
kasih ya.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you, Dr. Wis. Dr.
Thank you, Dr. Kiranti, Dr. Nur Eza, Pak Wisnu, terima
Ya,
kasih.
thank you Ibu Maria
Mbak Dita,
atas
terima
undangannya.
kasih. Ya.
Pamit dulu.
Saya keluar dulu ya.
Mission to live. Ya.
Ya, thank you.